Welcome to Hardly Initiated. It is your host, Tyshawn Jackson, and my co-host, Ryan Catches, and we are in here with the amazing Nona Jones, and we're going to talk about today, can women really have it all? Let's get to it. The Hardly Initiated. It is your host, Tyshawn Jackson, my co-host, Ryan Catches.
I can already tell, man. It's going to be a powerful one right here.
You need to watch, too.
I just want to perform when I was a child. My mom.
To get that white man's option out of him. Pursued me, I ran. The brother I want don't care.
This is dope.
You need to have a threesome.
There you go.
Yes. Y'all see the new intro, right?
Insane.
Drop a flame if y'all like the new intro to the show. Drop a flame if y'all feeling it. And like I said prior, we are in here with Nona Jones. Welcome to Hardly Initiated.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here, guys.
We excited too. Let me tell you. So the initials was hot with me yesterday.
Oh, they was.
Yeah, they was upset. But I'm glad that they was upset because I think it really ignited a conversation that we've been waiting to have here on the platform.
Yeah.
And I'm just very excited to speak to you about
And
it.
listen, we having it with a Renaissance woman, y'all, because I'm talking, if y'all listen, the resume of Nona Jones is so incredible. I'm talking about from business exec to preacher to author, entrepreneur, and a wife and mother of two beautiful children.
Yes.
And now you're here in Hardly Initiated. We're about to have a real conversation.
I finally made it.
You finally
made it.
It is time. Are you ready?
I'm ready, man.
I like
I've been
this
looking
pink
forward
you
to
got
this.
on too. It's popping.
Thank you.
Yeah, no doubt.
One of my favorite colors.
Excellent.
Absolutely. Well, guys, listen, we're going to get straight to it. But first, I'm going to let my man Ryan tell us what's coming up. Talk to us.
Guys, listen, the super chats was really good yesterday. So this is the thing. We want to make sure we apply the new rules to the super chat. So anything over 10 bucks, guys, we will read live on air. You can send a question, you can send a statement, but this is the thing. We can't have it be contingent on the question for the super chat, if that makes sense. So you send it in, we're going to read it typically about every 15 to 30 minutes. So send those in. We'll make sure to take care of those. And the last, oh my goodness, this is just in. VJ, shout out to VJ, man. VJ, where have you been? We miss you so much. I don't think we've seen VJ in like 4 or 5 episodes at least. So VJ, listen, we appreciate you. We love you. Whatever you got going on, we support you. And this is what I want to tell you guys. The Hardly Initiated. Can we throw some more photos up real quick, Lano?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. The beauties
Look at
are
the
sending us in
initiates.
the photos. That is amazing.
I love it.
Wow. You know what's so crazy to me, man? We have this diverse audience. We got women and men alike of all ages, from 20 to 80.
Yeah.
We might even got a Centaurian in there somewhere. I don't even know.
Yeah, from all over the world too.
All over the world. It's
incredible. Matter of fact, if you from the international audience, if you're not in the States, drop your flag in the chat right now. I'm always impressed. You know, my people from the UK hop on. We had somebody from South Africa.
Come on.
Hop on the chat just a couple episodes away.
That's awesome.
So it's really exciting. But this episode is, I mean, the timing couldn't be any more perfect, especially from the episode we had yesterday.
Big facts. Now, I did forget to tell y'all, we got Valentine's Day coming up. Really in a couple weeks. I mean, February, guys, is just around the corner. So you got to make sure. I don't even know where my car is at. Somebody throw me a deck of cards right now. Hardly in love dating cards. Let me tell you these things. We only got about 50 left.
Yeah.
Okay. We told y'all we started with 500. I think this is the 4th week going on here that we've been having the cards running.
Yeah.
So guys, go ahead. I'm gonna drop the link in the bio. Go ahead and cop your cards before they run out. And we're gonna have to figure out how we're gonna do something very special for February, because them cars might be all gone by the time we get there in a couple days.
Yes, we got to put some things in the works here. And so, guys, thank you for everybody, by the way, that has purchased and sent your photos in. If you have not sent your photos in, make sure you take a nice photo. I want to see. Look, I want to see who you playing the game with too. Don't be trying to hide that man. All right. I want to see some pictures live playing it with y'all, with my couples. I want to see some love in action. So send me some pair couples, because I want to put some of those up on the show at the top anyway. But today we're gonna have a good conversation here. This is a very hot topic, I would say, because all over the internet we have, you know, women talking about this thing that we're discussing here, but from a very different angle. You know, a lot of ladies talk about, girl, you can have it all.
Yeah.
Girl, you can do it. And hey, it's not to say that you can't, Because Nona, I think you're an example of somebody who has the resume where most women will look at you and say, Nona Jones has it all.
Sure.
But today we're going to figure out what's the price to pay. Because it got to be a price. It got to be a cost
Yeah.
to be the boss, Nona.
Yeah.
So let's talk about it here today. First of all, you've been married. And let's just give the audience some context because they might not know.
Yeah.
Because first of all, how long have you been married?
So we will celebrate 20 years of marriage, June 19th of this year.
Wow. 20 years.
20 years. I got married 1 month out of college, and everybody thought I was either crazy or pregnant, but I just found the man that I loved. And yeah, we're coming up on 20 years.
1 month after graduating.
Yeah. Literally. I got my diploma, and a month later we tied the knot. So
Wow. How long y'all dating before that?
it was about a year or so. And so we had an interesting story. I don't know if anybody remembers Black Planet. Remember Black Planet?
Oh my God.
It's like
that
it
was
was
like
dating site?
was
it
that
was-
before
no.
or after AOL.
it was
That was I know I was a kid.
Oh, that's
you
the
don't
instant
have to be
message.
like
Yeah, I was definitely a kid when that was out. Oh, that's
Why
before
y'all had
Tyshawn.
to do it
I'm
like
35. That
that?
was pre-Tyshawn even.
Oh,
I'm
God.
about to turn
Tyshawn
31.
Bobby.
I don't need
Y'all
y'all to
think
be
it-
like, yeah, that was back when the earth was cooling.
Yeah.
No,
this was
listen.
like 12.
So it was like the MySpace for Black people. And I was in college, and I think I was in my 3rd year, and I would go on to Black Planet because there were like chat rooms talking about all types of stuff. And I had friends from high school that we would keep in touch with that. Well, I would wake up in the morning, and there would be this like chat bubble from this random user person. It would just be like, hi, how are you? And I saw it for a bunch of like 3 or 4 days, and I kept closing it because I was never on at night. So apparently he was sending it when I went to sleep. So I eventually, this was back before we thought people were kind of creepy who just reached out
Yeah.
randomly. I was like, hey, if I know you, here's my school email address and just email me. And he did. And so we exchanged emails for probably a month or so. And I was in Gainesville, Florida. He was living in Panama City Beach at the time.
Okay.
But his father's church was in Gainesville, Florida, because that's where he was from.
Got it.
And so he one weekend was coming back to the church to help his dad out. And he was like, hey, can I take you out to dinner? And I was like, sure. And I thought I was going to be smart. So I was like, here's what I'm going to do. I don't want him to know where I live because I don't know if he's crazy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have him pick me up at my sorority sister's house. And I thought I was being really smart. Now, my sorority sister was in my wedding. And we realized as I was walking down the aisle that if he was crazy, he would not have known where I lived, but he knew where she lived. And so he would have come back and got her. But yeah, that's how we met, man. That's how we met.
What's
on
sorority, by
Black
the way?
Planet.
Alpha Kappa Alpha.
Oh, wow.
Sorority Incorporated. Okay.
That's the ratchet one, though.
Yeah,
That's
that's not the weed.
That's not the-
I was like, what is that?
But
So-
the fact that y'all met on Black Planet is insane to me. Like,
Yeah, Black Man, that's some real
yeah.
throwback.
Well, because see, you really got to understand this. Meeting people on the internet back then
Yeah.
was extremely taboo.
Oh, yeah.
Extremely
Yeah.
taboo.
Yeah.
Like when people was probably finding out about that, they was like, oh my God, girl, you heard where he met her at?
We didn't tell people.
On the internet.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't tell people.
I
Because you're
could
right, it
imagine
was.
that. Yeah, back then it was wild.
Yeah.
But that just shows you like you could find love in so many different places.
Yeah. Well, but here's what's funny. My husband and I, we joke about this now. So my husband actually went to the University of Florida. He graduated, I think he graduated maybe a semester or two before we met online. We never met while he was on campus. And the thing is, I was like leading a bunch of student organizations. I was president of my sorority. Like I was very much so in a circle that he wasn't in. He was in business school. He was working like nights to pay for college. Our paths never would have crossed. And he even says now, he's like, yeah, I wasn't a fraternity boy. So we would have had nothing in common. We kind of had to meet over Black Planet because I think if we would have met in person, I would have just been like, he seems like an upstanding guy. And that would have kind of been it. You know,
He wasn't savage enough.
I'm not going to say that because he's probably watching and I want to make sure he knows. It would have been on and popping. That's what would have happened. No, but yeah, I've had to help him with like his dress game and some things like that.
Yeah.
To kind of help him out.
So you know, I'm hearing this. You've always had this track record of having a big capacity to do great things.
Yeah.
You was leading organizations when you was young.
Mm-hmm.
You sound like you was one of those women. And I knew women like that back in college. They was busy as hell.
Yeah, they had a lot going on. Had a lot going on.
Had a lot going
Yeah.
on. And, that is pretty much where you are now, playing a bigger game
For sure.
in your life now.
Yeah.
And when you guys, what was that like? Because it sounds like, we're talking about having it all
Yeah.
at that point in time. Where you are today,
Mm-hmm.
did you see yourself? Was this the vision that you wanted to have for yourself when you were in college?
Wait, before you answer that, because I think we need to give the audience some clarity on what's the conversation.
Okay.
Because could you define? Because do you identify as a woman who has it all? And if so, what is having it all?
Wow. So let me answer this question in two ways. I think the way that people define having it all is, thriving marriage, beautiful kids, having a lot of money, the homes, the vacations, et cetera, et cetera. They tend to define it as financial capacity.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that I have it all because I have peace. I have joy. I have the fruit of the spirit. And so while I may have all those trappings of success, I also have joy while I'm experiencing them. So I do have, a marriage. I have children who are healthy. I am healthy in my body. So for me, having it all is defined a bit differently than what others would define it as, but that's how it typically is defined, is having the house, the car, the marriage, et cetera. It's basically having the Instagrammable life.
Gotcha.
I think is what people would define it as.
And would you also say not just having those things, but also them being able to financially afford those things versus having their spouse be able to financially afford those things?
It depends. It depends, because I think you can have it all if your spouse is the provider, as long as they are providing it with compassion and love. There are some women I know who they have it all on paper, but their husband is the breadwinner and he's also incredibly controlling and manipulative. And so even though it's an Instagrammable life, they do not have it all because they don't have peace. They don't have joy. Yes, they have the picture with the Chanel bag and they're, taking the trips to Saint-Tropez and they're doing the whole thing. But what I know to be true is behind that photo is a miserable woman. And so, no, that to me is not having it all. Again, that's just being able to Instagram your life. Those are two different things.
That makes sense. And I want to get back to that question you asked. But I really want to get into the mindset of kind of, who we're speaking to.
Sure.
So, you talked about kind of the things that you were doing in college, but at that time, did you also have a mindset of marriage? Did you grow up always wanting to walk down the aisle, have the house and the picket fence, the big family? Was that a dream of yours?
Great question. So, I need to offer a bit of a trigger warning because I'm going to share about my childhood. I had a pretty traumatic childhood. First, to answer your question, no, I did not have a model for marriage. My mother and father were actually married for 13 years before she got pregnant with me, but she didn't want to have children because she grew up in a home where there was 12 kids, a lot of poverty. Her father was abusive to her mother. And so I think she just decided she didn't want to have kids at an early age. So when she found out she was pregnant with me, she was angry. My father was happy, but halfway through her pregnancy, he ended up getting diagnosed with terminal stomach cancer. And he was given 6 months to live, but he lived until about 2 months shy of my second birthday. And then after that, after he passed away, she moved us across the country. She was basically following a guy she met who said he would take care of us. That relationship fell apart. But I remember from an early age, I would say between the ages of, I don't know, maybe 5 to 6, there was a string of men that came in and out of my mom's life, in and out of my life. But she eventually settled on a guy who became her live-in boyfriend. And I did not like him from the very beginning. There was just something about him that I could not get. I just didn't feel safe with him. And I told my mom, but she was like, he'll grow on you. Just give him time. Well, her sister passed away and she had to go back up north for the funeral. And I begged her to take me with her. I was about 5.5. And I remember it like it was yesterday. It's interesting how you can remember these things because they are just so painful. But I remember it like it was yesterday. And she couldn't take me because she couldn't afford another plane ticket. But the very first night that she was gone, he assaulted me. And after it was over, he said, "You better not tell your mother because she'll get rid of you." And I didn't say anything for a couple of years. He repeatedly abused me for a couple of years until I finally told my mom. And she had him arrested, and I thought it was over. But on the day of his release from jail, she took me with her to pick him up, brought him back home. I remember vividly the look on his face. He was sitting in the front seat. I remember the look on his face when he looked back at me. And the abuse resumed when he came back home.
Wow.
And my mom became physically abusive, verbally abusive. It was a very tumultuous situation. And I give you that context because not only did I not see marriage, I did not have a model for a healthy relationship. Like my mom and her boyfriend were constantly fighting over money. She was assaulting him physically, like he was fighting her. And so I had a sense that I wanted to get out of the situation. Like at the ages of 9 and 11, I tried to take my life. And I didn't know what was on the other side of death. Like I didn't grow up in a church going home. We were not a Christian home. I didn't know what was on the other side of death, but I just figured that whatever it was better than what I was going through. But I thank God after my second attempt at 11 years old, a classmate of mine in the 6th grade invited me to go to church with her. Again, I had never heard of church, but when I walked in that building, the people were so like loving and affirming, and like they smiled and they wanted me to be there. And I think that became the turning point for me, is finding a community of people who actually loved me. And I think the first sermon I ever heard, the preacher said, "God is a father to the fatherless." And
Big facts.
listen,
Big facts.
I was like, okay, well, if God is a father to the fatherless, I don't have my father, who was God. And that's what started me on the path to my faith. And I share all of this because, again, I had a very tumultuous situation in my childhood. I did not know anything about a healthy relationship. I did not even know that a relationship could heal, could restore, could redeem. My first experience, my first encounter with that was my relationship with Jesus. And so much of what we'll talk about tonight, what I've learned, is not so much because it was modeled for me by a husband or by a father. It was really imparted to me through my faith in Jesus. So I just wanted to make sure I shared that, so you know that's kind of the lens that I bring to
Your
this
foundation.
conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
And I would say, just kind of want to get a good idea of kind of what your view on men was at this time.
Sure.
Because
Oh,
you
yeah.
experienced this turbulent past.
Yeah.
Your father's not there.
Mhm.
Abuse is happening in the household. Your mom is not there defending you in some, many ways.
Mm-hmm.
At the time you met your now husband,
Mhm.
what was your mindset on men and how a man should take, a part of your life?
Yeah. So I had a very low expectation of men. And it wasn't even just because of what happened in my childhood. Before I met my husband, I was in a relationship. I didn't have a lot of relationships. I had like 2 boyfriends before him because I was morbidly obese for most of my life. I used food as like for coping, as like medicine for coping with pain. But when I got to college, I lost a lot of weight and I ended up in a relationship with a guy. Thought I was going to marry him, and he ended up cheating on me, got a girl pregnant. And I think I met my husband maybe 6 months later. And so when you kind of look at all the craziness of unresolved pain from my childhood, you kind of put the cherry on top of me being cheated on by this man I thought I was going to marry. When I met my husband, I think my expectation of men was very low. I was just like, okay, he was 6 years older than me. He had a job. He was a provider. He was stable. So I was like, all right, that's all I need. I didn't have this long checklist. I know some women have this like rubric for the men. Like they have to be this tall. They have to have this, type of physique, and they have to have like this much money and this, that. No, I was just like, all right, he's stable. He loves Jesus. He has integrity. Check, check, check. We're good. So I think it wasn't until I started my own healing journey that I was able to discover what I actually needed in a husband. And I thank God that my husband had what I needed, but I didn't know it at the time. That to me is just through the providence of God. But yeah, I definitely had low expectations for sure.
And probably I can imagine, I mean, depending on the kind of man that came into your life at that point in time, you probably could have had your self-worth was at a place where you could have been a candidate for manipulation.
Listen, I definitely, I remember there was a season in college. So before the man that I thought I would marry, my very first boyfriend was, I think we got together when I was my junior year in high school, and he was awesome, like smart, ambitious. He wanted to be an attorney. I was going to be a physician. We were going to be like the reverse Cosbys. That's what we called each other.
Right.
And he was great. We went to the University of Florida together. But and again, this is why I think part of this conversation tonight has to do with healing from trauma, because what I did not know is that I felt like he was stable and he was great. But then I got involved with some organizations. Suddenly I'm president of these organizations. Now there's all these guys who are like, oh, we need to get with her because she's popular. You know, I had lost the weight and all this stuff. And so, I started to kind of feel myself a little bit. I was like, I don't think this is going to work out. Like, let me kind of step out here and let me bask in the attention of all these guys. And I realized very quickly that that's not where it's at, because people would lie, the whole idea of manipulation. I realized that many times the guys were attracted to me just because I was in the limelight. It wasn't that they were attracted to me. It's that they were attracted to what I represented. Like, I was this girl on campus who was, popular, leading all these organizations. She was, involved with the president's office and the vice president's office and doing all these leadership things. It wasn't that they wanted me as a person. They wanted what I represented.
They wanted to conquer you.
Right. It was like the arm
really
candy. They wanted me to be their arm candy.
Yeah.
And so there was no substance to the relationship. So that's why it kind of primed the pump for when I met my husband. I was like, okay, he has integrity. He's the type of man who I can trust. And that was beautiful.
And it's interesting because I guess now this is probably the best place to transition, because I'm really happy you gave us context on, you leading up to the point of marriage, because for those of you that missed, Nona got married a month after graduating college.
Yeah.
And you guys went on your, pretty much this 20-year now journey, or soon to be 20-year now journey. And my question prior was, the person that you are now, did you see yourself moving into the direction of Nona Jones today at that point of your life?
No. So, my plan in college, I was going to go to medical school. I was going to be a physician. But, through some divine intervention, ended up not doing that. When I got married, my husband was working for an insurance company, large property and casualty insurance company, like Fortune 50 type company. I got a job there. And it was like a mid entry level type of role. It was an independent contributor role. I was 21, got this first job. And, I was making okay for like an entry level first time job. My husband was making more at the time because he'd already been working for the company for I don't know how many years by then. He was making more. But about a year and a half later, there was a position posted. It was a newly created role. And I saw the job posting because I always knew that there was more within me than the job I was in demanded of me. And so I would look at the job boards just frequently. Like one time I saw a chief financial officer role and I was like, I don't think I'm ready for that yet, but I will be one day. So I see this new position and it required like 10 years of progressively responsible management experience. I didn't have 1 year of progressively responsible management experience, but I knew I could do the job. So I applied for the job. Long story short, ended up getting the job.
Wow.
My salary doubled and it put me on the leadership team for the state. So here I am, 23, at this board table with people who could be my parents. And my salary doubled. In doubling, I ended up making more than my husband that point.
At the age of 21?
I was 23 by then.
And
23.
Y'all are married right now?
Yeah, we were married. So my salary doubled. But then he ended up getting a promotion. And so his salary increased a bit, but my salary was still more.
So at a very early point in y'all's marriage, you are the person that's making more money.
Right. Yeah. Just like a year in, suddenly I'm in this role making more. And then about, I don't know, a year, maybe 2 years later, I got recruited by a utility company to an executive role there. salary increased again. And my husband, he also got promoted. And so his salary increased. But again, I'm making more money. Well, about 4 years into that, I got recruited to a really large nonprofit organization, like really large nonprofit. My salary doubled to the point where I was now making 6 figures. And I was, I don't know, 27 maybe at that point. And at that exact moment, my husband decided he was going to retire and go into full-time ministry to support his dad. And, when he did that, we had to essentially lose half of his salary because, the church could not compensate him at the level he was at in corporate.
Yeah.
But the role that I was in that nonprofit, it absorbed the loss. It absorbed it more than that. And then
wait, so we got to dig in.
We got to.
Okay, so
let's give you the timeline. Yeah,
you 23 years old. You just now started making more money than your husband.
Yeah.
And who is taking care of the lifestyle? Like, who's paying for car, rent, phones?
Oh, great question. So from the very beginning, we've always only had one account. Like we don't, and when I say one account, what I mean is like our accounts are linked because we have many accounts, but like there is no my money, his money, you pay that bill, I pay this bill. No, everything goes into one account. And then from that one account, we divide it into the other accounts. So basically we're paying for everything. So there is no delineation between I got this, you got that. That's how it's been always.
Okay. And just to confirm, my money is your money. So
Absolutely.
You making double, triple, whatever the amount is.
Yeah.
I can go in that account. I'm gonna say I, as in your spouse at the time, can go in that account and spend money at his discretion.
Well, here's the key. So we've always had a budget. So we've always been super clear about here's, what the house expenses are. I have discretionary money. So I do have my own account, but it is linked to all the other accounts. So we see everything happening in every account. So let's just say, X amount of dollars goes into our main account. That account, from there, we split it out. Like I know what his discretionary is. He knows what my discretionary is. We see the accounts. So no, you cannot just go in the main account and just spend however you want to spend. We've agreed to what the budget is. And so that's what you can spend. I can spend my discretionary money all day long. He can spend his all day long.
Got it.
Yeah.
Is it the same amount?
It was initially, but then I got a Tesla. And so I don't have to pay gas. He has a gas car. And so he has more money just because he actually has to pay for gas. That's the only reason why. But from the standpoint of actual discretionary, it's the same. Yeah.
Okay. So 50-50 essentially in terms of how money is spent.
Well, I wouldn't call it 50-50. I would call it 100-100 because we have the same amount of discretionary, if that makes sense. So it's like however much it is, it's the same on both sides.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
whatever we want to call it.
It's the same. Yeah, it's the same.
So I get it. So at that point now, it's a lot evolving because now you are now 27 years old.
Yeah.
And first of all, that's great money. 6 figures at 27 years old. And I was, first of all, I ain't trying to hop in a time machine, but that was back then when inflation what it was now.
I need y'all to stop acting like I'm 80. But anyway, go ahead.
But no, that's so.
Yeah.
So
it was awesome.
the relationship dynamics probably changed a bit at that point because I'm not sure if I'm obviously we hear your side.
Sure.
I don't know if that was ever a plan, as a man, if that was ever his plan or his vision, right?
No.
And when that happened, did he communicate like, yo, I'm proud of you and I'm happy for you, but I didn't see it happening this way. Did he have a conversation with you about that?
No. So here's the thing, and we'll get into this in a minute. I don't think we started having any challenges until I was recruited to work for Facebook and my compensation grew exponentially. That's when we started to have some challenges. But even in that, like we've had the mantra, one team, one dream. So, when I was, bringing in the money and, maybe he had to, take a pay cut to serve in ministry. Again, everything went into one pot. So it was like, look, I'm doing my thing. You're doing your thing. We're doing our thing. And so we didn't really have that conversation until later that's when I think dynamics started to.
But something is happening though. Something is happening. You working at the same company.
Yeah.
you get a promotion.
Yeah.
A promotion that, like you said, you don't even qualify
Not at
for.
all. Not at all.
A promotion that he probably didn't even see as an opportunity. Like most people didn't see. If you only been working there for 2 years and it's a 10-year situation, you're not even going to see it as an opportunity. Won't even apply.
Right.
So, I mean, you got to, I know something. It might not have been a specific conversation, but what is his temperament? Like how do you even reveal that? Like, is that like, guess what, honey? I'm making twice as much as you. Like, what's the situation?
Oh, that's so funny, right? So, so he's always known. Like, whenever there was a role that I was either applying for, or I was gonna, pursue. Like we've always talked about what the compensation would be. So he's always known. Like he's never been caught off guard. And frankly, he's just been happy because again, one team, one dream. So it's like, all right. If you're going to be making this 6 figures, that just means we bringing in 6 figures. And so that's awesome. And that's been my posture. And I think in order to make these types of marriages work, especially where the woman is the one who is like the primary, I guess, breadwinner, you would say, or the primary resource provider, you have to have a one team mentality. And I think honestly, that would have to be the same in the reverse. Like if the man is the provider, you got to have a one team mentality, because if you don't, you will start to keep score and be like, oh, so you making this amount and I'm making this amount. And then it becomes competition.
So one thing is I 100% agree with you if you don't have that mentality.
Oh yeah.
But what I have to say, and I don't care what anybody thinks.
Go ahead, Ryan, get in trouble.
I'm working at the same job as my woman and we doing the exact same thing.
Well, we were doing different things, but go ahead.
She's competition, period. And I don't think it's nothing wrong with that, thinking that. I think as a man, if you don't see, because this is the thing, you're doing the same thing. If we on the football field, we playing basketball, like it's coveted spots. It's only a few spots, right? So my mind is everybody who's doing the exact same thing, who has an opportunity to outperform in this thing, is competition. But I think that's what makes you competitive as a man. Like, how could you not see that as competition? That's what I'm confused about. So I want you to diagnose me. And, well, first, actually, touch on what do you think about that? And I want you to diagnose me. Tell me what's wrong with me for thinking that, because I think that is very healthy. And but even though if that was happening, okay, I will be trying to find a way out of that because I don't want my woman to be competition.
Sure.
But if I were in that situation, I just cannot imagine a man not thinking his woman is competition.
No, 100%. I mean, everybody, that's the thing about it. When you work in corporate, because I actually had a job, this was even back in college.
Yeah.
I worked at a job with all my homies. I put my homies on. We worked at the campus rec. And I remember it was one time in particular that me and my best friend, we applied for this supervisor role. And I knew I was going to get it because I even put him in the role he was in now. And he got that role over me. My best friend. I love this dude.
But pissed. I would be pissed too.
I was pissed. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I've been here. I didn't get this man his role.
Yeah.
But again, it's like, it's no malice towards him. I love him and we got over it. It's still my boy. But yeah, it is a certain level of competition. Just that's what that environment can create. That's just the reality of,
especially if we perform in the same thing. I know y'all doing something different.
But here's the thing though. Here's the thing. It just really depends on the personality types too, because you got some personality types that they don't really care about whether or not you get promoted or this and that, because they're not even trying to compete. Just the personality type of your husband in general. Is he more of like the competitive, we gotta get to the top, we gotta do this and that, or is he?
Yeah. So my husband is definitely competitive. Like, so you understand, I'm an only child. My husband is the baby of his family. And so we bring dynamics to our marriage where it's like, no, I have the answer. Like, I'm the one who's gonna win this thing. But what we had to realize is, what wins games on fields actually destroys marriages. Because this idea that I have to beat you, right? Like, you have to remember, a marriage is two people becoming one. All right. So why would the hand be like, I'm tired of the ear? Like, the ear is not going to get more attention than me. I'm ripping the ear off. You don't win that way. And so I think what may be a great strategy for winning a game on a field is horrible in marriage. And you have to, again, for marriage, you have to realize that it's one team. And even if it's a quarterback and a backup quarterback, it's like, yeah, the backup quarterback is going to practice just as hard as the starting quarterback. And if the starting quarterback gets moved out for some reason, the backup quarterback is ready, but we're on the same team. And so I don't win if I break your legs. Like, what is that mentality? So yeah, I would say that a healthy marriage requires that one team, one dream mentality. And again, for us, we were working at the same company, but we had different roles. And so when that happened, there really wasn't competition, so to speak. However, he had been working there longer. And suddenly I'm making twice as much as him a year in. So he had to figure that part out.
Yeah.
And again, my husband, we had the mentality, one team, one dream. So there was no, oh man, that sucks, I'm jealous. No, because it's going to the same bank account.
So let's fast forward to at the point in time when you went to Facebook.
Yeah.
That's when things really got big.
Yeah.
And that's when the dynamics probably started to change.
Yeah.
Around that time. Tell me about that a bit.
Yeah. So
how old were you at this point when you had Facebook?
I was about 29.
Okay.
I was 29, turning 30. And I got a call out of the blue one day, asking me if I would consider taking a new role there. First of all, I thought it was a prank call. Like, they called me. They were like, "Hi, is this Nona Jones?" I said, "Yes." They said, "I'm calling from Facebook." I was like, "Facebook doesn't call people. What is happening?"
Wow.
But anyway, they offered me this role. And what's funny was because the role was supposed to be located at the headquarters in Menlo Park, California. I told them that I could not move because at the beginning of our marriage, my husband said, "Listen, Gainesville, Florida is going to have to be home because this is where my father's church is. And this is where I believe we need to serve." Now, I was like, Gainesville doesn't have any opportunities. I wanted to be on the corporate track. I just knew I was going to be CEO of some Fortune 500 company one day. But I submitted to that and I said, okay, cool. So God created roles out of thin air for me, like just miraculously. And again, Facebook was one, but I had a string of them. So they called me out of the blue. And when I told my husband, I was like, hey, Facebook called. There's this really amazing global leadership role that they're offering me. And I said, but it's based in Menlo Park, California. He was like, well, we can't move. So I guess that's a no. And I was like, yeah, no. I was like, yeah. But see, here's the thing. I honestly believe, this gets back to your question. I believe that when a couple is on the same page, when you are one team and you're pushing in one direction, I believe that there's going to be favor on your relationship. So when I went back to the recruiter and I was basically like, man, this job is amazing. I said, look, I can't move. Gainesville's home. She said, well, we do have a policy that you have to live where your job and your team is located, but we think you're the right person for this. So we'll figure out how to make it work. So I was the first person ever hired to work remotely.
Wow.
And again, that is a testament to just being on the same page. It's like, okay, even though I'm like, let's move, let's do it, let's go. My husband's like, that doesn't work for what I believe we need to do, is to be here in Gainesville. And I truly believe that God honored that. And so got into the role. Here's the thing. They asked me, they were like, hey, how much is it going to take for you to join? And I gave a number that was kind of ridiculous just because I was like, man, they're not going to do this. And they beat it.
Wow.
They were like, okay, well, we'll give you that and more, and we'll give you equity. And it was a global role. So, working with people all over the world. So I was traveling around the world. And we had children. We had started having children a few years before that. So I think my oldest son at the time was maybe he was probably 3 when I started working there. No, he was 5 when I started working there because my youngest was also born. He was like maybe 2. More compensation. My profile started to rise because of the role that I had, was very visible. And I remember there were times when I would come home from traveling and there was kind of like a tension, just tension between us. I would come home late. Sometimes I would have to come home. I'd be home for maybe 2 days. I'd have to get on a plane and be gone for 3, come back, be home for maybe 3 days, have to be gone for a week, and we started to kind of, I think, get out of sync. a bit. And I think that's where the challenges started. So it was the money piece. There were times where we would have conversations about it. And I think that was when he started to be like, wait a minute, this is excessive. Like, you are literally funding our lifestyle. And I had to become really, really, really cognizant of how I was showing up for my husband. I had to be really aware, not talking about money in a like demeaning way. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to pay for this, or, oh yeah, we're going to do this and I got this. Like, I had to be very intentional. Like, if we went out, my husband paid. Like, if we were going to do something, I wanted to make sure that he was honored, because the thing I did not want is exactly what you said earlier. I did not want it to become a sense of competition, because it's one team, one dream. All the money goes in the pot. But things definitely had to be much more managed than I had to before then.
So, man, I just got so many questions
Sure.
about that. I should have, pass me my notepad, because I got to take some actual physical notes. You grab that notepad out that thing real quick, because Nona, the things that you're saying, I just think so much of it needs to be unpacked.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of want to go back a bit.
Sure.
And I want you to give detail on what a breadwinner actually is, your definition of a breadwinner.
So I think that the breadwinner is the person who essentially funds the lifestyle of the family. It's the person who, like, in their absence, the family's lifestyle would have to change radically.
Yeah.
So they fund the lifestyle of the family.
Okay, so pretty much the person that is funding the lifestyle of the family. And okay, so now I want to confirm, when you went to Facebook, did that start to happen immediately, or was it gradual where the lifestyle started to increase as the first promotion, then the second one, or was it a specific time where it was like things are way different than they used to be?
I think it was gradual, because here's the thing. When I got married, like, my husband, he already had a job. He already owned like homes. And so when I got married, I moved into a new house. Like, I've never lived in an apartment, never struggled, because my husband had secured that foundation. He had worked for that. From there, when I got my promotion and then he got his promotion, we built a new house. So that was a couple years later, we built a new house.
Okay.
When I got the promotion again, we moved into another house, which was much larger. So I would say, yeah, the lifestyle definitely gradually increased. But yes, when I started working at Facebook, we had a level of resources that I would have never even thought possible, to be perfectly honest. So we were in a different bracket of opportunity at that point.
So I can imagine, you saying that there was probably some tension in there, mainly due to the fact that you were probably away from each other a lot. Yeah, probably got a bit disconnected.
Yeah.
What were some of the other biggest challenges that had hit at that point in time?
I mean, I think the distance was big. The fact that we had 2 small children, and I was traveling so much. And so here he was, pastoring this church, and, pastoring, there are no like real like office hours or business hours. It's basically open your eyes till you close your eyes. And so when I was gone, he had primary responsibility for the children. He was also pastoring the church. And so I think he just was also very overwhelmed, very overwhelmed with all that he had to do. So there was stress from what he was called to as a vocation.
Yeah.
I was traveling a lot. When I would come home, I don't know if you know anything about Myers-Briggs personality type, but I'm an ESTJ. That's the type of person who has, I have a strong sense of duty. And so what I would do as a wife, I would be very dutiful about making sure he was taken care of, like making sure that his needs were met physically, making sure that the house, was clean, making sure they had food on the table and all this stuff. But I was almost doing it out of, again, duty. And he picked up on that, right? Because and we're talking real, like, this is the real. So when people say, can you have it all? Like, I think you need to understand the cost. Traveling the world, we hadn't even talked yet about how I even started speaking. That was a whole other thing. But traveling the world, very successful, but coming home exhausted. and throughout the day, I'd be on video conferences all day, meeting with my team and colleagues, and all times of the night. There were times I was on conference calls at like 2:00 in the morning with somebody, in Asia, and so things just got challenging because so much of me was given to so many other people. And my husband, he didn't just want me to check the boxes, right? I don't think any man wants you to just check the boxes.
Right.
He wanted me to be just like emotionally engaged. And so, I was building this very successful career. But at the same time, the cost was building anything requires energy.
Yeah.
It requires a lot of energy. And so energy was being shifted in the direction of my career. And I think that started to make things a little challenging on both sides.
So I want to go back to a few things because I just see the chat. The chat is going crazy. The chat is saying that they've been blessed for the night, but I think we're missing out on some key things.
Sure.
It sounds too fairy tale. Because I really want to dig into this.
Yeah,
so
let's do it.
Let's talk about when your husband quit his job.
Yeah.
You making more money. Okay. He goes and say, hey, I want to pursue this dream and I want to pastor the church.
Which is a pay drop.
Which is a pay drop.
I did on top of that.
So first I want to ask you, what was his mindset? Was his mindset, I take a temporary step back to take a big leap forward? Or was it, hey, I'm taking a step back and this may be kind of the range for how it's going to be for the rest?
Yeah. I think that's what it was the idea that this is what I'm doing. Like, this is my calling. And we knew that was permanent. Like, that wasn't necessarily, hey, I'm doing this for like a year or two and then we're going to do something else. Like, we knew this was what he would be doing.
As in, this will be his typical pay on an annual basis.
Yeah. I mean, there's of course this idea that as the church grows, that his compensation would grow, but we didn't like have a goal to say, all right, by this time you need to be making this much money. It was literally like just this transition where he went into full-time ministry, but then I got this new job that basically covered what he lost. Right. And so we were still whole as a family.
Okay. Now, my experience, I want to say that I was with corporate for about close to 5 years.
Yeah.
And one thing I've noticed that the people who typically rise up are the people who typically are very ambitious. Sure. Or they just are so desensitized. They think every new position is for them.
Sure.
So they somewhat delusional, both people, right? Because they know the next step is for them. So I would imagine you're around a bunch of people that thought like you, a bunch of successful men, highly ambitious, that are like, yo, I need double, triple, 10 times what I got now. So when your husband first initially presented that to you, what was your thought?
I didn't think much of anything because I knew it was going to happen. Again, like we had a 5-year transition starting in 2010. So it wasn't like he just one day jumped in it and was like, oh my gosh, like we knew for 5 years that it was coming. And so when it came, it was like, all right, now we're flipping the switch. You're taking the salary cut and here's where we are. So I wasn't surprised at all.
Okay. Now you still operating, you provide the lifestyle. Okay. Now, what is the lifestyle determined on? Is it determined on how you want to live? Is it determined on Dave Ramsey's formula? Like, who is making a decision for how the family lives at this point?
Sure. So here's the funny thing. And my husband, I think he would agree with this when I say this. My husband is a very simple man. All right. So he is fine if he just got like a house. My husband cares about square footage. So he just wants a big house. Now he will have a big house, but just like a couch and a mattress in it, and he's fine. Okay. I'm the one who's like, we're going to have the big house with like the nice furniture. It's going to be, the decor is going to be on point. Like, we're going to have the pool. We're going to have the lawn. We're going to have everything. So he kind of leaves that to me because that is my gifting. Like, I'm the one who will make the house a home. He knows that's just not his gifting.
Now, here's what I really want to know, because a lot of times I think this is what people fear, even on both ends, even with women, with guys. They're afraid of what money coming in, especially that quickly, can do to that person's attitude.
Yeah.
Did you see your attitude at all shifting towards your husband?
Oh, yeah. So let's talk about that. So I mentioned earlier that things got a bit rocky. And they did because the beautiful thing about success is that it exposes you to things, right? And so I found myself in rooms with people who were very successful. I found myself in homes that were way beyond the reach of my affordability, right? And I found myself kind of seeing couples interact who were very successful. And so I was thinking, I was like, that's what I want. And then, of course, you have the other piece of it. And again, because I worked at Facebook, I can say this. I love Facebook, but let me be honest. You also have the other piece where, and I talked about this last night, Instagram is fun, but it can also cause problems because people share their highlight reel. And so you see the success, but you don't see the struggle. So what happened was I would come home and I have been exposed to all this stuff. You know, my husband, he's been home, so he hasn't. I've been exposed to all this stuff. And so I started to, I think, form a level of discontent where I was like, you know, I want you to be, you know, doing more, and I want you to be getting more and all this. And then there was a point, there was a season, it didn't last long, but it was a season where I was kind of feeling myself a little bit. And I've talked about this publicly. Go ahead.
And you think it was because of what you were seeing, not because just naturally this is what you would expect? Is it not just generally biology?
No, because remember, because of my past, when I got married, I had like the lowest level of expectation. So I didn't come into it like, oh, this man's going to take care of me and he's going to do this, that, and the other. I was just like, all right, he's stable, he has integrity, and he loves God. Check, check, check. We're good. So when I got exposed to those other things, that's what kind of made me develop a level of discontent, which again is why I say social media can be really dangerous for relationships, because you start to compare the reality of your situation to the fiction that other people post. Right? It's
so hold on, wait. So it was a bit of some of the things you were experiencing through travel and through work and so on and so forth, and then also some things you were seeing on social media. All those things started to kind of have you side eyeing your household a little bit.
Absolutely. Like I got to the place where I was like, man, I'm the one bringing in the money. Like I'm the one doing this. And I kind of had this, it's not really a chip on my shoulder, but it was definitely a level of, I would even call it contempt. And I think you can develop that when you get to a place that you start to like look down on the person, right? Where it's like, I'm the one doing this. I'm the one bringing it in. But I say that didn't last long because when I was in that season and I was just like, man, you need to be doing this, that, and the other. I was in prayer one day and I heard the Lord say, Nona, you walking around here acting like you built this. He was like, I gave this to you. And if I can't trust you with it, I will take it. And I had to reflect on the fact, going back to that very first position, I wasn't qualified for that. There's no reason why I should have gotten that job. Every other position I've had has been literally created out of thin air. I got the call from Facebook out of the blue. And so here I am walking around like I'm the best thing since sliced bread and peanut butter and jelly, when really I owe my life to the favor of God. And that is what humbled me. When I realized, yeah, of course I work hard and, you know, I have a heart posture for excellence, but like that doesn't give me the right to treat my husband as if he is not my life partner, as if he's just a member of my staff. It's like, no. And that's kind of the mindset that I had for a season. And again, it goes back to this idea that you cannot have a healthy marriage if you just see your partner as less than or somehow beneath you. It's like, no, they are your partner. You build together. That's what humility requires.
And when you say a season, how long was that period that you feel like you probably were in that place?
Man, I would say probably a solid year.
Okay.
Probably a solid year.
And in that year, it was more so a place where when you say you were treating him like a member of your staff, it was probably like delineating orders and, you know, probably some levels of even disrespect that might have come up in certain ways.
Yeah.
And I can imagine, you know, the conversation. I mean, you as men, women, yeah, everybody know how high we regard respect.
Yeah.
So when the respect is slipping at this point, what do you see? How do you see his posture, you know, change in that season?
Yeah. There was a point where, and that's why I say we were in almost like this. He uses this term vortex. Like we were in this toxic vortex where, so I was demonstrating contempt, and I think he was operating out of resentment. And so there was one time, so I'm a speaker. And how that even happened is a bit crazy. Like doors just started to open. I was licensed into ministry as a minister of the gospel at the age of 17. But again, I thought that I would just be on the corporate track. Like it was never my goal to be a preacher. It was never my goal to like travel and speak. But doors started to open. I started to get invited to speak places. Next thing you know, I'm speaking to 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, all these people, while my husband, who is pastoring a church, is home. And so that introduces this whole new dynamic, which is, wait a minute. He even said is like, why, like you're out there doing what I thought I would be doing.
Wow.
Like
He verbalized that.
Yeah. Like we had the conversation where he was just like, this is when we started to get honest. Because again, he had a lot of resentment and he was showing up as being kind of like withholding affection, just kind of that whole, fine, whatever, you do you, I'll do me type of situation. When we finally sat down and talked about it, he was like, I look at you and I see what you're doing. And I think that's what I thought I would be doing. Like, I thought I would be the one out there traveling and speaking and preaching. I thought I'd be the one writing books. Like, that's what I thought I'd be doing. And I was like, that's what I thought too. I thought that would be you. But for whatever reason, it was me. And so that season was marked by resentment on his end, contempt on my end. And we had to figure out how to work through it. Because when we got married, we didn't make a contract. We made a covenant. Two very different things. Contract is, hey, if this ain't working, we're done. Covenant is, oh, wait a minute. I said, till death do us part. We're not dead. So we got to figure this out.
Okay. So, because I do want to make sure I got a good understanding of this, because I definitely can see how the two people can have those feelings. Because you said it was resentment and contentment.
Yeah.
So with the respect factor, I'm trying to figure out, if you are making the money, okay, and a considerable amount, how does he earn respect?
Yeah. That is something that we've had to talk about quite a bit. And I think that is the reality of it. I cannot speak for all women, but I will say that I think in general, women do respect the provider side of a man, right? The idea that you got me, if this thing burns to the ground, you're going to take care of it. I think that's where I was kind of feeling contempt. It's like, look, I'm taking care of all this, you're not taking care of all this. What I learned to respect in that situation was the character of my husband. Like, he is a man of integrity. I don't have to wonder where he is, who he's talking to, what he's doing. He is a man of integrity. And so I learned that in the absence of those resources, I can respect who he is, which is also why when I'm counseling people, my husband and I do premarital counseling for people. It's like, if you're marrying the person just because they turn you on physically, but you don't know where they are, what they're doing, they lack integrity, the physical attractiveness is going to get old real quick. Like, I look at all the time, there's all these men that have these beautiful wives that they cheat on. These women who marry these guys who are rich and they are miserable. It's the character that I respect. And the fact that my husband, he contributes to our family. Like, it's not like he's just laying back chilling. Now, there are situations where the man is just chilling while the woman is the one out there trying to make it happen. My husband's not that way. Like, he does contribute to the family. Financially, both, as well as being an amazing father, like to my two sons. He's amazing. And so that's what I respect. Like, my respect is not contingent on the size of the paycheck that he brings to the home.
Here's the thing though, a lot of people that move at that level, and I would even assume, especially a lot of ladies, women, that's accomplishing at that high of a level, you can tell like that accomplishment and success is a part of their value system, which is why they strive so high. So I can imagine if they don't feel like their partner is striving as high as them, they can then lose attraction
completely
to their partner.
Yeah.
Because that is, again, tied into and sewed into their fabric at that point.
Yeah.
So was that something that you experienced at that point during that season?
Yeah. We've navigated through that as well, which is this idea that, okay, and I said earlier, I have a sense of duty. Right. And so it's like, I can check the box on making sure that his physical needs are taken care of. But in order for me to have like this passion, I do have to have this sense of leadership and vision. And the thing about my husband is, even though he may not be the one bringing all the money to the table, you know, he can articulate where he wants to take our family. You know, like he can say, hey, here's what I think we need to be doing and investing in. And because, again, we have this one team, one dream mentality, it's like, okay, cool. I may be bringing in this much money, but here's what our vision is for our family. And I can get behind that. And that excites me. And I can get passionate about that. I think that's critical. Like the man has to bring, it has to be more than just the physical. It has to be, whether it's vision, leadership, strategy, something. For me, that's what excited me about my husband.
I still, you know, the respect thing, I'm still on that because I do understand that, you know, people have these different characters that you can, you know, admire and have a certain level of reverence for. But you talked about how you went to dinner.
Yeah.
Okay. And sometimes you would have to treat your husband a certain way, for example, paying for dinner. So who do you think that was for? So when you had dinner and you let him pay for it, who was that for? Was that for his benefit or your benefit?
I think for him, for sure. Yeah.
So and that's what I was thinking, right? But this is the thing. When I go out and I take a young lady out, I take my mom out, my sister out, they wouldn't dare pull out their wallets. They look at me like they know I'm gonna take care of it.
Yeah.
But I love it, right? Because it's a sign that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do.
Sure.
Now, I wasn't always in this position. So it was times where my mom was like, son, you've been killing it. I know you broke. I know you moving from place to place with a trash bag, but let me take you to your favorite spot. Let me take you to Red Lobster.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, in those situations, my mom throw me the debit card. I pay for it. But that was for me. But that's because I wasn't able to perform in this way. So my question is, why would it be important for you to allow your husband to pay for a meal when the expectation is that he doesn't have to provide?
Well, again, he does contribute. So it's not, again, he's not like, you know, I'm not bringing anything to the table. I think for me, and this and I'm speaking again for me, as a high earning woman, I want to be very careful to protect my ego. And again, this is for me. I don't want to get into a situation where, and I was there, where I look down on my husband as if for some reason his character, his integrity, his leadership, his vision isn't enough. And so I will do that because that's, of course, for him, but it's also for me. It's checking my heart to make sure that I don't get to a place where it's just like, oh, here we go again. You go ahead and pay, but I know who's really paying. No, it's not that at all. One team, one dream. It all goes into the pot. And he contributes. So part of what he's paying is what he's bringing to the table.
You know, when I think of it, you know, as much as it should not happen, a lot of a man's confidence does come from his ability to provide.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of a man's confidence does come from, you know, his ability to have a certain rapport and an influence with his woman.
Yeah.
And I can imagine in that season, he probably experienced pretty much levels of emasculation in that season.
Yeah.
And, you know, did you notice, like, what did that feel like? And because I'm trying to figure out, like, did you see the confidence change in that place?
This is a great question because yes, I did. And that is, again, why, going back to your question, Ryan, like that is why I was very intentional, and I still am today, very intentional about making sure that I don't do anything that causes my husband to question his manhood. The reality is, again, I am where I am because of the favor of God. Yes, I work hard, but there are a lot of people who work hard. It's like, yes, I am gifted in various ways. There are a lot of gifted people who are not where I am. And so I know that what makes the difference is the favor of God. So I'm very careful that I don't allow pride to cause me to act in ways that are dishonoring to my husband.
Yeah.
The Bible says that God resists the proud. He gives grace to the humble. What is grace? Grace is the divine power to accomplish God's will. I want the grace of God on my life. So I'm not going to be like, let me tell you who made it. No, honey, you go ahead and take care of that. You take care of that.
Is that wrong though? Because, and of course God does amazing things, right? But is that a sign from God that said you should pull back on your emotions? Or could that have been a sign that God says, hey, you having these feelings because this may not be something you should be doing? And I'm not questioning your union.
Sure.
I'm asking for perspective. Could it be possible if you're in a serious committed relationship and you having these different feelings, could that also be a sign on the contrary where God is saying, hey, maybe this is not for you?
Okay. Having what feelings? Be specific.
Feelings of resentment, feelings of, hey, my spouse is not living up to my expectations. My spouse is not giving me what I need. My spouse is just in general, is just not performing the way my spouse should be performing.
Sure. Well, so there's so many different scenarios that you find yourself in to answer this question. I think in the case of a marriage where you've had the conversation, you've made the expectations clear, and they literally refuse to change, I think that is a problem. In my case, when I have the conversation with my husband to be like, hey, these are some things that I need. This is what I need to see out of you in order to inspire my trust, in order to inspire my respect. He will do what he can to meet those expectations. And that's why I said character. When it comes down to what do I respect his character, because he will do what he can. He will do what he can to rise to whatever level of expectation I have. Like we're in a situation right now where at the end of this month, I'm going to be transitioning out of my day-to-day leadership role at the tech company I'm with. And I'm doing that because, God spoke to me at the end of last year and was like, I need you to lean more into, your own business, your own ministry, what you've been building. And when I told my husband that, he was like, oh, really? He was like, okay, so you're resigning. Are the bills resigning too? Like, what are we doing? And in response to that, though, I said, listen, I need to focus on building this. This is already substantial. I need to build it more. And so he has taken some steps on his end to start bringing in more resources. Now, here's a very important point that I think I need to make. My husband and I recently had a conversation where we were talking about the fact that I've brought in all these resources all these years. And I asked the question, I was like, why haven't you ever felt like you needed to maybe, get another job or start a company or whatever? And he was like, honey, he's like, when I think about it, he said, when I saw how much money we were bringing in, I just didn't think I needed to bring in more because we already had so much.
Damn.
And so it's kind of like, I think
mindset.
But I think though it's some people have a different mindset. On the one hand, that kind of makes sense to me. It's kind of like, well, yeah, you could bring in more, but it's like, for what? Like, to prove what? Because we already have what we need. We already have more than we need. So
that's a good point.
It's like, what are we proving? So when he said that, it made sense. And I was like, okay, I understand. I can respect that. That makes sense. Now, if you're just home, like, well, I'm not working because you taking care of everything, that's a problem. But it's like, yeah, no, we're good. But I mean, if you need me to make more, I will. Okay, we can work with that.
So guys, we are really over. It's like 9:08 right now. And I really y'all know the initiation hotline is here. Do we want to go over or we want to go ahead and get to this right now? Because this conversation is incredible.
Yo, I'm gonna save my questions for
no.
I'm gonna save
because this conversation is far from over. And thank you so much for coming up on here and letting us know that the people right now, if y'all are loving this conversation, drop a flame in the chat real quick. If y'all are loving this conversation, because they are absolutely enjoying this right now.
And I'm trying to make Nona sweat because I'm really trying to dig deep.
No, because
I want you to.
Dig deep. Because this is actually something that a lot of people are. A lot of women right now in the chat are on their way to facing, are currently facing, or just got out of. In fact, we actually got somebody in the chat I'm very excited to bring up on here because Ryan pissed a lot of people off yesterday with a moment we had in the episode.
God.
I had to ask about when I got here.
She better not get on me. But can we before you bring her up, can you read the read-in?
Absolutely.
And we'll just kind of review quickly kind of what my initial thoughts were. Okay.
Absolutely, guys.
And it's funny because I'm excited. I'm not gonna say her name yet, but I'm excited to bring her on because one of the things pre-show You actually addressed me about my comments yesterday or the day before yesterday as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yesterday, day before.
We
What day
talked
is
about
it?
it.
Right.
It was yesterday.
It was yesterday.
Golly,
So
too
check
many
this out,
shows.
guys. What's happening here is we had a read-in yesterday. One of our initiates sent us an email, and it went a little something like this. All right. My ex is a coach. We got married in 2019, and at the time, we were both making similar salaries. As I continue my career, my salary has more than doubled, and his has not. The nature of his career is more transitory, requiring him to move in order to accept different opportunities in order to move up and make higher salaries. Our first child was born in 2019, right before COVID. Because of that, and because of my higher salary, I became the breadwinner, and his career was put on the back burner. Our marriage suffered greatly because he was unhappy not being able to pursue his dreams and didn't want to work regular jobs to help with the household finances and duties. He wanted to be willing to move our family. He wanted me to be willing to move our family, give up a six-figure salary that was providing for us so that he could pursue his dreams. I felt overwhelmed with taking on the brunt of parenthood and the brunt of the financial responsibilities, and also felt he was being selfish and putting his career first, which turned to a lack of sex in the marriage. We went to counseling for probably a year or two, and we saw some improvements. Fast forward to fall 2022, we got pregnant with our second child. We seemed to be on the same page, but we weren't. Same issues surrounding his contributions financially and in the home continued to come up. And I felt disconnected and unable to have sex on top of being pregnant. We went approximately 6 months with no sex when I learned that he had been cheating. I immediately filed for divorce following the infidelity. The challenge in our situation is that I think he felt emasculated by me making more money, being the breadwinner, and ultimately making the decisions for the household. That's a big part I think we missed.
Say that last part again.
I think he felt emasculated by me making more money, being the breadwinner, and ultimately making the decisions for the household. And on the other hand, I felt that I didn't have a partner who was willing to put his family first, didn't fulfill his responsibilities, and still expected sex.
Slayer.
Yeah.
So that's so that's the reading right there, guys.
Riveting story, and I could just see that story is probably not unique. I can imagine a lot of people run into that because you get into this relationship, you think you have an idea of this person's level of ambition, this person's level of go-gettingness, or just generally this person's level of perseverance, because they could be one way, one thing, two things, three things happen, they turn into a different way. So I do think it's not a unique story. It's just very riveting because both parties, I could just imagine, is tormenting for both parties. One end, you got the man who's being emasculated. He's not, I mean, the trust has the sex, the trust, everything is gone. Probably nearly irretrievable to even get back to wherever you were at the beginning. And then on the other hand, you got this woman who is juggling 20 things, doing all things at an A level. And the only thing that she truly wants, which is to be loved and led, she is not able to get. So I can imagine on both ends, it's a horrible relationship. And my opinion about that, which actually is really no point in even sharing it because you read it. It was some emasculation going on. I just didn't think it was a bunch of him not doing the right things and he's also not getting emasculated. So the cheating part, although I don't think it is a good excuse, I do think that you people get in these situations, 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, it's not unreasonable for somebody. It's not a surprise to me that somebody will go out and cheat. So that was kind of my perspective on that whole thing. I wasn't justifying it, but I'm saying
and we got to
happen.
And check it out. We got a surprise for the people because guess what? The young lady that actually wrote us that is backstage and we're bringing her on stage here today. So look, Alex, welcome to Hardly Initiated.
Incredible. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
How are you?
I'm sorry.
I said, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Listen,
Alex, thanks so much for reaching out to us and sharing your story with us. I mean, the amount of people that actually emailed us last night about your story was incredible. So I'm sure you have a lot to share. So we definitely want to hear about it.
Yeah. So,
Definitely.
you know,
Yeah.
have you been tuning into this conversation since the beginning?
Almost since the beginning, yes.
Okay. Now, how much of this conversation, can you see? Did you see a lot of yourself in Nona telling her story?
Absolutely. Yeah. Um,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm
Let me
nervous.
ask you.
Yeah, I'm so nervous.
No. Oh,
No,
listen.
you
We
it's
just
good.
having a conversation. You good? You good? It's interesting because you and your husband started off on equal footing, with you guys
Yes.
making similar salaries. I think that was a very important part. And obviously, things changed. I want to know this before y'all even got into it, because before you guys got married, just for context, how long were you guys dating?
We started dating in 2016 and we got married in 2019.
Okay.
So it was about 2.5 years with the time.
About 2.5 years. Okay.
Yeah.
So about 2.5 years prior. And would you define him or describe him as an ambitious brother if you were, using adjectives to describe him?
Yes, I would say that he's ambitious.
Okay. So he's an ambitious brother. You guys both are in similar places. And very similarly to actually knowing that I'm thinking about this, in a very little time, your salary doubles.
Mhm.
That's correct. Yeah.
Now, we talked about this with Nona's husband, and she gave us some context, and I want to know about this with yours. What was his posture when he heard that, or when you delivered that message? Was it a level of excitement? Was this good news, or did he show a bit of concern?
No, I think it was good news. It wasn't a surprise. I'm a lawyer, and it was known that after a certain amount of time of sort of probation, that the salary would go up. So he was aware that that was going to happen. He kind of knew the trajectory of my position from the jump. So he was excited.
Okay. So he was excited. So let me know this. When did the issues crawl in? Was it when he realized that when you got this new position, he was going to have to pretty much put his coaching career to the side? Is that when things started to really go south?
To be honest, I would say for a lot of our relationship, that was a conversation. Even prior to getting married, we were long distance. Even at the time that we got married, we were long distance. And we were since until our first child was born, actually. So there was always kind of this conversation of where we would be and kind of whose career would lead. Because we had our child in California where I was living, he moved to us, and I think that's really when things started to get challenging.
That's interesting.
That is a very interesting origin story. So I want to confirm. So you were long distance up until you had your first child together. And then at that point, he went ahead and moved out to California.
That's correct. About 2 weeks before our daughter was born, actually. So
Wow, incredible. And at that time, what was it about? Was it just simply the physical location? Was it all of the issues that came from y'all being in the same place together? Or was it now he is introduced to a lifestyle that you're able to provide? Like, can you pinpoint exactly what it was that initiated the dysfunction?
I really feel like it's a combination of all those things. California, far away from his family. He's originally from Georgia, actually, and it's expensive to live in California, and his profession is a little bit more limited in California than it is in the South. And then, yeah, I think we were newly experiencing living with each other. We had a newborn child. COVID hit shortly after she was born. So then we're kind of adding that to the mix. So it really was a whole combination of a lot of factors.
Mm.
Got it. And I'm just very curious too, because Nona is here sharing, her story, of course, and she is still, actively in her relationship, in her union. And she is pretty much now giving us some game in the how to maintain and how to operate in that union.
Yeah.
But I'm curious with you, Alex, based on your experience, do you think that it's even remotely possible for a woman who is the primary breadwinner and provider in a family to have a successful, healthy, long-term relationship with the man who is not?
Oh, I absolutely think it's. I think that I agree with a lot of what Nona has said, that you have to have the team mindset, and I don't feel like that was part of my relationship. In my experience, there was constant conflict, constant, really competition, and trying to one up each other in arguments. And I think that bred a lot of resentment. And we were not successful in being able to get on one accord and really become a team. And so I think because of that in my situation, that's why things have not worked out. I do think it's possible if you can be on the same page and really put team first.
Let me ask you
Wow.
this. Would you say that in your next relationship, would you preference to not be the breadwinner in that next relationship?
Preference, yes, but I'm really trying to look for other qualities outside of the financial, and do a better job of vetting the next person.
That's it.
Ensure that they are embodying really what I'm looking for. I value my family first. I value somebody who has integrity. I value somebody who is just going to be communicative and honest. And so the money thing can be worked out. I don't think, for me, it was never an unwillingness to be the breadwinner, but I wanted the support.
And I'm curious to know that I'm gonna let you. This was what I wanted. The last question here. You talked about making the decisions in the home, and I want to know this. Did you feel like, and because you put here that you were ultimately making the decisions for the household, were you making the decisions for the household because of where you were financially, or did he just opt out? After the money situations kind of changed, did he no longer feel empowered to make decisions? How did the decision making happen in your household at the time?
Well, I would say the biggest decision that was typically one that I was making was one of whether they put or whether we're going to move. My ex would frequently bring up moving to other states to take job opportunities, but he wouldn't really facilitate a whole plan of those things. I didn't know, how long we would stay somewhere. The salaries were never ones that would cover all of our family and cover the fact that I wouldn't be able to work for a significant amount of time, or that I would have to take another bar exam. So the big decision was me saying, no, we're not going, because there's no stability. This is not going to be good for our family. And I think that it was because he was so focused on getting to his dream that he wasn't thinking about all these other responsibilities. Had he come with plans and vision, we would have had conversations for sure. And I would have, entertained that. But so I think because I was the money and had the responsibility I felt on my shoulders, I was kind of putting my foot down on those things.
So, okay, so that makes a lot of sense. If it's not a lot of trust in the relationship, then it's going to be very difficult to make these different changes. Now, this is my question, because both of y'all are saying that this type of relationship can work. So my thing is, if you got a man who either is not willing or have not had any level of proven success in having a plan and a vision for how he's going to provide for the family, how is it reasonable to expect this man to have that same mojo for other aspects of the relationship and the family? So we'll start with Nona, then we go to you, Alex.
Listen, I am a firm believer that past performance is the best predictor of future performance. And so a person who has not had that, they have not demonstrated that, it would be nonsensical to think that they would in the future, which is why what I always counsel women and men to do is do not marry for potential. You have to be willing to marry that person if they are the exact same person in 20 years that they are today. If the idea is I'm going to marry them and they're going to improve, they're going to get better, they're going to somehow grow into some new character qualities that I think they need to have, that is the absolute wrong condition under which to marry. So I would say, yeah, past performance is the best predictor of future performance. Like I would not suddenly expect my husband to do something that he has never done before unless he makes a decision to grow into that. And that would be his decision. But I wouldn't even hold him to that. It's like you've never been the type of person that loves flying planes. So why would I suddenly be like, I really think you need to fly planes? That's never been something that he wants to do. So yeah.
Okay, and what about you, Alex?
Do you mind repeating your question for me?
Yeah, so if you're dealing with a man that you considering committing to, and he hasn't had any level of proven success or track record in establishing a vision and showing showcasing the ability to execute on that vision with a plan, right? How can you trust that man will be different in other aspects of your relationship and the family caregiving?
I don't think you can. I mean, I would agree. Past performance is a good predictor of future performance, and you have to see it, really. I mean, there needs to be evidence if you're going to believe that moving forward.
Okay, so if a man is making significantly less than you guys, is that not showing that he potentially or more than likely does not have the ability to put a vision and plan in place for excellence?
Not necessarily, because again, and I'm speaking of my situation, I'm sure you can talk about hers. Like at one point, my husband and I were essentially kind of neck and neck. I mean, I walked into the marriage, he was the provider. The house was what he
Now,
provided.
you talking about at 23 years old.
True.
This is not even enough time to establish a proven track record.
Right.
Or actually, you know what? It is time.
Mhm.
You had a proven track record.
Mhm.
You was the president. You saying you wouldn't even have met him on campus,
Mhm.
even though y'all went to the same school.
Mhm.
So he didn't, from what I'm understanding, from what you're sharing, he did not have a proven track record of being able to do these things.
But what he had a track record for is what I needed. And that was stability, integrity. Like he had a track record for being the person that I could count on. And that's what I needed. So I didn't enter the marriage. And again, I didn't have an example of marriage. I think, man, social media has done such damage to people's expectation of relationships, to where we want the superficial, not the substantive. It's like, I want what I can post on Instagram, but you can't post integrity. You can't post stability. You can't post diligence. You can't post peace. Like those are things you can't post. And so I do think that he demonstrated a track record for what was important. And so I married for character. And that's what I have today.
And it's interesting because one of the things that you said, Alex, is that essentially you really didn't trust his plan, which is why I even think you use the word dreams even instead of vision. I think even calling it a dream says a lot about what you thought about what he saw.
Big facts.
But in general, I want to know, was there anything different that he could have done to have you buy into that?
Yeah, I mean, I think he could have brought real plans that considered the whole family. For me, the stability was a big thing. So there was never a confirmation that if we move, we will stay there. For me, I really value that longevity and stability for my kids. I want them to be able to make friends and stay put, and I want to lay roots somewhere. And so if there had been some kind of plan and agreement to do that, I think I would have been able to buy in. I think what was hard for me is that in this past year or 2 years now, he was doing the job he wanted to do, just not at the level he wanted to do it at. And I felt like, okay, you're doing what you want to do. I do my job. We've got, our daughter. I felt like we were in a good spot, and I felt like that should be enough, and it wasn't. So I think also, had he shown a little bit more, I'm trying to think of the right word, but to me, I just didn't feel like family was important. I felt like the career was above that. And so had I felt like you're really trying to do this to benefit our family, I would have probably bought into that more too.
Got it.
I think it's so important for men to understand that again, this is a generalization, but I think women, we will follow you into the darkness as long as you at least have some plan for what's going to happen when we get in the dark. You know, like you can't just be like, hey, follow me into the dark because I think there's something there. It's like, well, what is the plan? Like, how are we going to get to the dark?
Well,
like, how long is it going to take to get to the dark? What's the vehicle to get to the dark? Like, give me some clarity.
Alex, and I want to make sure because I want to make sure you know, we're on the right page on this. Did he have a plan, or did you just not like the plan?
I would say there were proposals that were not filled out. So, hey, I can interview for this job in this place.
Right.
But no, hey, I've looked at schools. Hey, I've done this, this, and this. You know, again, I'm licensed in California. For me to move means I need to take a bar exam. That means I need to take time off to study. It means that there's going to be a time I'm not working. So we have to consider that in the plan. Never any real thought about that.
And was he a brother with a, but just curious about this brother, was he a brother with a track record of, you know, typically being able to, you know, I guess, you know, take things from the head to the hand, you know, consistently, or was that not something that you saw of him?
I would say there was more inconsistency. My perspective is that this is for he would do anything to get to that, and that's kind of created a tunnel vision. So he can make that work out, but if I would bring up other kinds of jobs, it was I've applied to a bunch, I haven't gotten any, things like that. So
I get that. I get that. I mean, you know, I'm not gonna fault anybody for, you know, they seeing the plan, it ain't coming to fruition. So you don't never want to go into blindly and do something that you know is not the best for you and the fam. So I do get that. And I also can understand how, you know, this guy could start to experience some levels of resentment, because my thing is, how could you not resent and be competitive with somebody if you are occupying the same role? Because we talk about team. Okay. We talk about team. So my question for you guys is, and we'll start with you, Nona, we'll go to Alex. Did you have specific roles that you identified in the relationship? Was it clear that because and let me know if I'm wrong, because I only say there's two roles. It's either the breadwinner or the caregiver. And now, if there's more than roles than that, then please let me know. But so I'm thinking in the relationship, if that's not identified, then it's going to be natural that there be some resentment, whether both people are taking care of the home or both people are going out to earn the bacon. So in your relationship, Nona, did you have specific roles for both husband and wife?
I wouldn't say that there was a specific role articulated. I think that we have our own giftings, and like we have our own kind of skill sets. So for example, I am very much so a visionary. Like I'm the kind of person where it's like, all right, I want to make $100,000 by the end of this week. This is what we're gonna do to do it. Like that my mind just automatically figures it out. Now, my husband is the type where he's gonna be like, he's gonna have a lot of questions because he's more of like the tactician, the operational type person. I am not the tacticianal, like operational type. So it's like we complement each other. And I would say, I don't know that there are just two roles, because even when you said breadwinner and caregiver, there was a third role that came to my mind, which is strategist. Because just because somebody brings the money and just because somebody's caring for the family, that doesn't necessarily mean that those two roles are going to combine and take the family in a direction that's going to lead to more or better. So I do think that there is a strategist, and that could be either the breadwinner or the caregiver or somebody different. There's only two people though.
Okay.
But I do think that that's another role. I will say this. One of the things I'm very cognizant of, this goes back to something that Alex said about this idea of like a dream, because you said like resentment, if like, you know, you're not following the dream. You know, as I raise my boys, they're 13 and 11. I am raising my boys not to be sons. I'm raising them to be husbands, which means I am raising my boys to be critical thinkers, to be the type of people that can present the house. So for example, my oldest son, he said he wants to play in the NBA. That's a great dream. how are you going to do it? What is the plan? What is step 1, step 2, step 3? What are the different points on the decision tree that you have to make? And if you don't make step 3, then that's an or situation. Now we need to go down a different path. Like, I'm raising my boys to be the type of men who can help to provide safety and security to their wives. That I have this idea, and here is how I think it'll play out. Here's how we'll execute it. Here's the milestones. Here's what the strategy is. That's what breeds security. This idea that we need to move to Kentucky because there's a job there. Did you apply for the job? What is the salary band? Like, are they even hiring? Do you have relationships? Like, I have so many questions, but there's no plan.
Check this out, because I want to know this. Alex, this is for you.
Alex laughing. What? Alex,
Oh yeah, Alex.
listen.
She
Alex,
laughing.
what resonated with you just now?
Kentucky was on the table.
Incredible.
Oh my God. Check this out.
Great
I want to
minds
know
think
this,
alike.
Alex.
Yeah.
As a woman, just to kind of get into the psyche a bit. Do you think that even if you are the breadwinner at some point, do you think it's important that your man is striving and fighting hard as hell to make sure that he eventually occupies that role?
I'm going to say no, because I know successful relationships where the husband is staying at home with the children and the wife is, out there doing her thing. So I think what is more important is striving to be communicating with each other on how to better serve your family. If that's the husband doing that, that's amazing. If that's the wife doing that, that's amazing. But I don't think it has to be that the man is the breadwinner.
Well, check it out. What you need to do, those people that you know, tell them, email info@harlandinitiated, because I don't know none of them damn people
Right.
that's having a successful marriage.
I don't know them either.
Like
now the thing is, in those situations, that is very specific roles though. She said the wife is out getting the bread and the guy is at home.
Yeah.
So I think that
100%.
even something like that sounds a little bit more reasonable, although I do think that that's also a tricky situation as well. And Alex, I want to ask you this, okay? Because you mentioned that you felt like he wanted to choose career over family. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, could it be possible that, he wanted to find purpose, right? Could it have been possible that he's feeling this pressure from you? He knows that he's not living up to the expectations. He's not doing things right. And that although, the family would, let's say, take a step back, that if he got his purpose right at the end of the day, because his purpose is right, he's now able to potentially lead the family and put you guys in a better position. Was that ever a thought in your mind that could be possible?
Ryan, I'm trying not to get on you tonight, but
let me know. Listen, Alex, let me know.
Yes, I think he's trying to find his purpose 1000%, and that maybe he would then be happier and be able to lead the family. But I do, as a man, you have to.
Alex, hold tight, Alex. We losing you because of the internet.
Your Wi-Fi.
Yeah, but we want you to run that back because we want to make sure we hear all of that. So, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Go ahead and run it back for us.
I was just saying that I think, yes, I think he's trying to find his purpose, and that would potentially be to lead the family.
Okay. So, Alex, unfortunately, you still kind of going in and out. But what I want you to do is I want you to stay backstage and tune in with us, because, and first of all, I really appreciate you coming up here.
Because I want to get some more from Alex, but the internet.
Yeah.
Having issues.
Can I, as we're getting that together, can I address this thing about being emasculated?
Okay.
Because Brother Ryan,
let me know.
You've said that many times.
I didn't say that. I didn't say emasculated.
Well, no, you've used the word. You said, well, see, but he's been being emasculated. The idea of being emasculated is that there is literally a force that is being applied to your manhood that is stripping you of it. Okay. So there is something that is happening to you that is taking your manhood away. It's happening to you. What I would offer is that even in this scenario, I would offer that he is not being emasculated. He is making choices that have called his manhood into question. It's a very different perspective, which is
With Alex's situation in particular.
yes, with Alex's situation, because I think that's where the phrase being emasculated was used. So if you have a scenario where your wife is saying to you, hey, if this is something that you want to do, here's what I need in order to feel safe, in order to support you, and you're not doing that, I am not emasculating you. You are making choices that are calling your leadership into question. And so I just want to make sure that as we even think about what it means to be emasculated, it's like, I'm not stripping you of your manhood. What I'm saying is, in order for me to follow you, here's what I need. And so even the point about, her having to make the decisions, at the end of the day, if you don't have that track record of quality decision making, chances are I'm probably not going to trust you with the future of the family, because you have not proven that you can be trusted. So I think all the detail that she gave was important, but I wanted to bring that up because sometimes the idea of being emasculated can be a smokescreen for poor choices. I just wanted to mention that.
Well, see, the thing is, I'm not blaming any woman for emasculating the man, because I do think the result comes from the man triggering certain things in a woman for her to act a certain way. But it still happens. And I just looked it up just to make sure I understood what it was. Deprived of his male role or identity. Now, this is the thing. If he's saying, hey, baby, I want to do this to be better for the family, and she's saying, no, 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 he is being deprived of his male role and identity. Now, I'm not saying it's not warranted, but I'm just saying this is just what happens. And the only reason I even brought it up is for perspective, because what I'm getting from women is, hey, I'm in this relationship, let's just say Alex in general. Hey, I was in this relationship and this was the situation, but even though it didn't work, I still think it can work. So what I'm trying to really get an understanding is, how is that even possible? How can you think this type of relationship works? And I know what's happening in the people that are listening. They're like, okay, well, if it can't work, that means that I can't work, that I can't go out and be great, that I can't earn. And that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. That doesn't have to be true.
Yeah.
So I really want to bring perspective, because people are going to go out there and they're going to get into these relationships, women getting into these relationships with men that don't have a proven track record. They may go out there and go look for these other aspects, but I'm really just bringing into question that over long term, because it's the thing, to me, it sounds very strange when the woman says, hey, I want to take on the full load.
Oh, no.
I want to take on everything.
I don't think a woman says, I want to take on the full load. I think what happens is, and Alex is a perfect example, I'm the same way, is through a turn of events, we kind of end up in this position. And we also then have to grapple with, how do we make this work? Like what is necessary for this circumstance to produce a healthy, fruitful marriage? Because we have children.
So, okay. So now to me, that makes sense.
Yeah.
If you say, this is the situation I'm in, but it is not ideal. Because is that what you're, because that's what it sounds like you're saying. Because that I understand. This is hey, look, I've been out here getting to the paper. I'm getting this bread. The dudes that's available to me, they're not making this bread. So these are the things that I got to do to make sure that I maintain happiness and I'm able to go ahead and build my family.
Sure.
That makes sense. Not, hey, ladies, you can go out and find your man that you making 3, 4, 5 times the money, and he's going to be okay over the long haul. And most important, you going to be okay over the long haul.
Sure.
While you shouldering the entire load, making all the decisions, being the visionary and the planner for your family, for which you state is not ideal.
Sure. So let's unpack the idea of ideal. Okay. I think ideal is a relationship where both people are of the mindset that we're in this together, whether that means I'm the breadwinner, he's the breadwinner, whether that means we both are bringing in the bank, whether that means, we lose everything and we're destitute, like we're in this together. That is what's ideal. Now, the idea that we would have like a poster that would say, hey, now looking for a man who doesn't make a whole lot of money because I want to take care of him. I don't think there's any woman that really would walk into that situation and say, I want to take care of a man. But when you get into a situation to where you're making more money, but he's still contributing to the relationship and you have the team mindset, that is ideal. So, and we talked about this before the show, but I do know that I think men have this sense of identity that is so wrapped in bank account balance and salary and how much they're making.
Well, really I would more so define that in providing.
In providing, yes. And being the breadwinner.
Financial.
The breadwinner, right? The challenge with that, though, and this is where we were having a conversation, I think it'd be good to bring it here, is my question is why? Like, why is it so important that you are the breadwinner? Because if it's because I want to take care of my family, I want to nurture and I want to make sure my family has what they need, that's great. But if it's because I want to be the one who says how things go, that is toxic.
Well, see, I would say historically, and we all understand this, I mean, across cultures, it's relatively expected for the man to provide. Even historically, we've all seen and respected the men we have some of the most reverence for are those providers, the men who have been able to bring the resources for us to be able to have a home. So when you strip a man of being able to truly fulfill that role, that can take a piece of him away.
And I think that's fine.
And honestly, I don't even like a man who is not ambitious and really embracing the want and the need of providing. I think men should fully, absolutely embrace that role. And, when you talked about ideal, the mindset is super important.
Yeah. The
team mindset is super important, but we can't negate ideal is still the brother getting the bread. If we talking out, because it can only be one ideal. It's only one ideal. If I'm having like ideal, and the reason I say that, it's just a much more simple relationship. It's less complex.
So you mean ideal in terms of relational roles?
Yes.
Because we're talking on two different planes then, because when I think of ideal, I'm thinking about the relationship. I'm not necessarily talking about the roles.
But see, the roles affect the relationship. Like, because the roles can bring different dynamics into the relationship that won't exist if those roles were not necessarily present, which is why Alex was here and she literally said, no, that's not my preference.
Right.
But I'll do what I have to do. And I understand why this is taking on, because the reality of it is, you see how mad these brothers get when you talk about 50-50. They're like, hell no, we're going 50-50.
Exactly.
So it ain't a bunch of brothers that are just saying, I'm 100% take this shit over and you don't have to worry about anything.
Right.
So the thing about it is they have to survive in the meantime. And if that means that I'm going to be in this career and I'm going to do my best and I just so happen to make more money than you, it be like that.
Yeah.
Well, see, to me, because that makes sense. That makes sense. And I would imagine a lot of women, more and more women, as women are reaching higher and higher levels of success, they're running into this issue, which I understand that whatever hand you dealt, you got to play.
Yeah.
You got to play it. But I do want to make sure that people understand, like, it's not all, it's easy, or it's not going to be certain challenges that come with it.
Yeah.
And the challenges that come with it, I also don't want to demonize a man for having those different issues that come with it.
For sure.
It makes sense. You don't got identified roles. I'm supposed to be making money. You making 4 times. Yes, I'm pissed about that. Because what the fuck am I supposed to be doing? That's really what it comes down to. Now,
but see, look, the brothers that is, I would say, listen to Alex's situation. That brother does sound like he was relatively unqualified to be put for the financial burden to be put on his back.
Oh yeah, of course,
and see,
of course. She been getting it for a minute, and everything was straight before him.
Yeah.
So that makes a lot of sense.
So that, I mean, unfortunately, and I hope the men are really in here soaking up this game, because a woman is watching you.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
From top to bottom.
Absolutely.
She's watching. From everything you do. If you never had that track record, of doing stuff. She better see you reading them books.
Yeah.
She better see you waking up early. She better see different sides of you,
Yeah.
because all of that is going to come into the friction of now your new ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not even just a woman. Like, men evaluate each other the exact same way. It's sometimes me and Ryan will be talking to a young kid like, yeah, man, I'm about to start this business. Okay, whatever.
Yeah,
That boy walk
right.
away and be like, we should. He ain't gonna make it.
He ain't gonna make it.
He ain't gonna make
There
it.
you go.
So you got to understand, you are being evaluated. But the thing that's so special about a woman is she's evaluating you at the closest level,
Yeah.
at the most detailed, nuanced level. From the amount of times you pick your nose, she's seeing it. And if you think you're just going to bring this ambitious idea that has a lot to do with the family, you really got to move and operate a certain way for you to be able to have that influence over your home if you're going to go about making those decisions. So that's just, and this is a very important conversation, because we see in 2024, a lot of us are going to end up in these relationships. So that's why I think it's very important to have this conversation.
And if you doubling up on salary and things like that, I mean, as for the average person, they're not going to reach that. If you go from making 75 to 150 and your man is still making that 60, more than likely is probably not going to get to where you at. So I think more and more people going to get to that. So
yeah,
it's just so tricky, man, because my ladies, I just know they in this situation. And I'm not sure how many men really understand that life continues after college, after your first job. It's like, that's the responsibility of being a man.
Yeah.
Is that it just the marathon never stops.
Well, here's the thing though, and this is where it does get tricky. Like, not all men have examples of manhood, right? And so for you two, it may be like, man, of course I want to grind. Of course I want to make more than my lady. Of course I want to take care of everything. There are some men who their example, like, they were raised by a single mother who they never saw the example of a man grinding and pursuing anything. So for them, they're like, yeah, man, you just 50-50, whatever, we're good. This idea of manhood being attached to provision, for many men, that's foreign.
But does he deserve a wife and family?
No, now that's a whole separate conversation.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. I don't think he should be in the conversation, because now we're putting an unqualified man potentially at the head, and we're gonna build responsibilities.
But a lot of unqualified men are getting wives.
And that's what I was just about to say.
But I agree. But at that point, I mean, a lot of unqualified people are hired, but they're gonna get fired.
Let me tell you something.
Right.
I know so many successful women who I talk to who are crushing it, who are married to men who are not.
Damn.
And that's why I'm mentioning this, because, and that's why I even said earlier, I am raising my sons to be husbands, not sons, because I see it all the time where there are these successful women who are married to men who have no vision, who have no concept of provision. Like, they were basically raised to be sons. They were raised by their mom to be taken care of. And so for them, it's natural for a woman to take care of them because that's all they've known. And then they get into relationships with women who are willing to take care of them because the women are so lonely that they're like, I just want a companion. And so you do have this kind of breed of men that are just, they're sons. They're sons in men's bodies. So I think as women, this is my one message to women, is like, look, if you're raising a son, remember, you are raising somebody's husband. How would you want that woman to think of the way that you raised him? Would you want her to say, wow, he's so responsible, he's accountable, like he's the one that comes with the plan? Or do you want to be like, gosh, man, he just waits to be served, like he just will lay around all day and play video games and he don't have no ambition? I don't want my sons' wives to be like, dang, what happened? I want them to be like, thank you for what you raised in him. And I think that's part of our responsibility as women.
I like that. I like that. And I think that's true. And I would want to ask Alex as well. I think she fixed her internet. I would want to ask her and you this particular question. And it just flew out of my head just that quick. Where did that question go?
It was going to be good. It was going to be good.
It was going to be so good. Oh, that's what it was. So this avatar of a woman.
Yeah.
Successful. More than likely, every man she dates, she's probably going to make, let's say, 25 to 50% higher than that man.
Yeah.
Okay, the men she's coming in contact with. Is that settling?
So, man, this is such a multi-layered, nuanced question, because I think many times settling is attributed to either academic achievement, like, oh, you got a master's degree, you settled for somebody got a GED. It could be compensation. It's like, man, you making six figures and they still figuring it out, right? I think that settling is literally just whatever is beneath your expectations and your needs. So it could be that the person doesn't make as much as you. But again, they have the character that you're looking for, or they make you laugh. Like y'all have a good time together. That to me is not settling at all, because this is a person who meets your needs and your expectations. That's why I said it's nuanced. I don't think that somebody who doesn't meet your compensation is somehow settling. But I do think that if you're literally like, yeah, these are the things that are important to me, but I'm gonna go ahead and just be with this person because they're a warm body, that is settling.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, when you get into it, can we bring Alex up?
Alex,
And
hope
Alex-
that internet is fixed because you on the
Yeah,
stage.
Alex got to let us know what those eyes. Her
I
eyes
think
dropping
so.
crazy.
There she is.
What's
I'm
up,
here. Can
Alex?
you hear me?
Yes,
We
yes.
can. Drop your camera a little bit. Your camera kind of high, but go ahead.
Fill us in on that, Alex. Fill us in. Do you think that you potentially moving forward with a man that doesn't quite, bring as much to the table in terms of finance, is that some level of settling?
I'm going to agree with Nona. I'm going to say no, because I think that all the other characteristics of a man matter. And so if there's less finances, but I have a man of character who cares for me, who supports me, who cares for my children, and can lead our family, and who I can really trust to be loyal, those are all much more important to me than him bringing, a higher salary than me.
Can I give you an example of settling?
Okay.
I'm gonna give you
And guys,
real-
we're gonna read super chats in about 5 minutes. So get your super chats in. Let us know what you're thinking so far about this conversation. We'll read those in about 5 minutes.
Oh
But go
yeah,
ahead.
I'm going to give you a real life example of settling that counters the initial thesis of your question. So I have a friend who she is engaged to a man who is very successful, like millions of followers on Instagram, money, cars, houses, all the things, celebrity, blah, blah, blah. He is a serial cheater and she knows it.
Damn.
The reason why she's marrying him is because he will provide the financial lifestyle that she wants. But she also knows that he will not be faithful to her. That is settling. And so for me, it's not about bank account. It's not about academic credentials. It truly is, are you what I need? And if I have the money, I don't need the money. Like if something were to happen to my husband and I got married to a man who was like really wealthy, that's great. But the truth is there's very little that he could provide me that I can't provide for myself. So I'm not settling if a man doesn't make as much as I do. I would be settling if I compromised on what really matters. So she, again, will have the Instagrammable life that everyone will just admire and they will be like, wow, this is awesome. While also knowing that her husband, her soon-to-be husband, is unfaithful. That's settling.
Wow.
I get it. Man, this conversation is really good. It's really good.
It is. This is
Yeah.
much needed right here.
It's so many things, so many angles to this, and so many things to think about. Because I think once you get out of the traditional roles, things become very nuanced, very nuanced. And the amount of people, and like Tyshawn said, the amount of people with the mindset first, because you got to have the mindset of traditional, then you got to actually have the resources for traditional, then you got to find somebody else who got the mindset for traditional. So the likelihood that people are even going to be able to be in a traditional situation is highly unlikely.
It's
highly unlikely.
That's so true. And from what I see, online and just from where I see us trending. Listen, if my brothers are not seriously hunkering down to get this cash and get this check, that one team mindset, like this, that's why we bringing Nona on here. This is the mindset you will have to adopt to be able to endure a marriage. Because the reality of it is, unless again a brother is willing to put that burden 100% on his back, all of these things now are realities that enter conversations now that now enter your relationship. I remember when I was in high school and I was talking, I just one day just decided to talk to my coach about this, like really my life coach at this point. I was like, yo, like, who pay the bills around here? He was like, he started laughing. He was like, I pay the bills around here. And I said, so like, what's up with mom? Like, so that's what I would call his wife. So mama, like, mama, she don't, because she also works. He was like, no, my mom good. Mom, that goes to, mom gets the groceries and all that goes to her and the daughters and the kids. And that's where it go. Everything else, I'm gonna make sure I take, unless something tragic happens.
Yeah.
And I said, but why is that? Like, I was confused when he explained it to me like that. I was like, why y'all do it that way? Why y'all just... He was like, son, listen, it's certain conversations you don't even want to have in your relationship. He said, and this allows us to play on the easiest level. That's how he explained it to me.
Yeah.
And I still didn't understand it at that point in time. But even as I've evolved and have had my interactions with women over the years on even just the dating level, I see how finances can truly play and dictate a big role in your relationship. And when you talk about marriage and making it 20 years, you really got to have a certain mindset to make it a certain way, especially if, it's a woman that's even playing at your level.
Yeah. And
the reality of it is all my 50-50 brothers, if you don't like what you hearing in this conversation, you better get you a new philosophy.
I agree with that. I 100% agree with that.
This is what you're going to need to make sure you adopt and get down with, because this is, I agree with you. And when you're breaking down, that is the ideal mindset for that relationship. And, I actually think you're really breaking down some really valuable, principles in order to have success in that way.
Yes, and we still got Alex on, by the way, because there's one aspect that we did not cover, which I want to talk about. But before I reveal it to y'all, I'm gonna go ahead and read a few of these super chats, okay?
Yes.
Shout out to Yali. First off, Yali breaking all kind of records. I didn't even know we had. Member for 7 months. This is big. 7th month anniversary with this amazing community. I think you can have it all, but maybe not all at the same time. Let's see where this convo goes. Yali, let us know how you feel about the conversation. Shout out to my girl Jennifer, officially 1 month. This is a great episode for women who say they don't mind making more money or end up becoming the breadwinner, but wasn't trying to be. Let me ask you this, Nona. What is more likely? Is it more likely for a woman to go into the relationship with the mindset of I'm going to be the breadwinner, or do you think what's happening is that they go into it, everything is right around even, and then all of a sudden they reach levels of success and the man doesn't? Which one is happening?
I think it's that it happens, and then you have to navigate that. Like, if you're an ambitious woman, if you're a woman who has a vision and a drive, you're going to have a level of success because of who you are. The question, though, is your partner going to evolve into that success? That's where I think the transition happens, is if you have a partner who you're out there grinding and you're crushing it and they're evolving up with you, they're grinding and crushing it, chances are you will both be successful, but that comes with a cost. Like, that comes with a significant cost, because if you're both grinding, you're probably going to grind the marriage to a halt.
Yeah.
And so that is the other side of it that we don't talk about a lot. Again, I know a lot of successful women who either they've gotten divorced because of that, or they're still married, but they're basically married while divorced.
Right.
So that's the cost.
Incredible. I just have so much respect for a woman. I could never imagine being a woman to actually take a risk and tie my life to a man that's supposed to come with these things. And then to see that after a couple of years, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing and they're not supposed to be what they doing. So shout out to the women that are still giving good men opportunities, and you kind of giving some game and how to make, because I think certain things you're not saying, but you are saying in terms of how to go about decision making when you are dating and when you are in a relationship. So I do think that you guys also need to read between the lines of what these two ladies are sharing as well.
I will say this. I do still think it could be some, because really I think the biggest thing is whether or not the brother is on purpose. That's really what it comes down to.
Yes.
Agree.
Because if you a brother, if your lady is making more money than you, but you purposely living, you Coach Carter at the goddamn high school, saving kids.
Listen.
You bringing them in to your household.
Yeah.
And you making sure things around you are becoming fruitful, and you love and are living what you're doing every day at the highest level, the money won't be an issue.
And
First off, we are a testament to that situation, because a lot of people gonna get on, especially me. They just dog me out in the comments like Ryan is so this, he's so that, all this. The reality of the situation, me and Tyshawn been on an entrepreneurship journey, me specifically since 2016.
Yeah.
So
it was one point I moved 8 times in 2 years. That's the thing. So I've dated many of women that made more money than me.
Oh yeah,
that's just the reality of the situation.
That's a part of the grind.
That's a part of the grind.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I made that, but I spent it all because I'm trying to do this. So I've dated most of the women I've dated seriously. I think it wouldn't be unreasonable for me to say all of them made more money than me at some point. Right?
Yeah.
Because that's what the grind I'm on now. But it was my mindset.
Yes.
And me understanding that their income literally had nothing
It's
to do
temporary.
with what I was doing.
It's all temporary.
Exactly. Because look, this shit is gonna pop off.
Listen, that idea of a man who is purpose led, I think that's important. And it gets back to the question you asked, which is, man, if he's not making, more than you, what do you respect? Listen, my husband is literally, he's not just a pastor. He has a pastor's heart. So he is the type of man that will spend hours with people who are navigating, drug addictions, alcohol addictions, marriages in crisis. And he will do all of that. And he will give all of himself to that. And I see that. And I'm just like, that's awesome. First of all, because even though I'm in ministry, I love people, but he loves them on a different level. Like, he will give his all to people. He loves to see people win. I can respect that. I can totally respect that, to where he isn't necessarily building his own kingdom. He's building God's kingdom, like he's lending himself. He's lending his time, his energy, his talent to people to help them navigate some of the most crazy situations that you could ever imagine. And so, like, you talk about this whole Coach Carter thing. It's like, I look at him and I'm just like, man, he's a change agent. Like, he may not have, all this money on earth, but man, he is storing up some amazing eternal rewards because of what he's doing. I can respect that. What I could not respect is a man who is just chilling. Right. Like, I'm out there grinding, I'm out there working, and he's literally just playing video games and like eating popcorn and like, no. And I know women in that situation that I cannot work with. We are not one team. In that case, you are not even on the field. You're not even in the stadium. You over there at the snack bar. And I couldn't respect that.
Add this man in there too. Not just the man that's sitting on the couch playing video games, but the man who is grinding, but he is grinding in circles. And he's doing 10 things, and neither of those things are actually progressing and advancing. Because there's men out there that will completely denounce the couch potato. Like, oh yeah, he ain't nothing. I got this going on. I'm doing this. You the same dude. Because your energy is not focused. So just keep that in mind,
it's
fellas.
the habitual starter.
Exactly. New projects every week. Shout out to Kay Ann. It's a respect thing. We don't need the credit in a team. Interesting. Shout out to Dance with Faith. Nona, you are so great. I love this topic. Thank you for your wisdom. Blaze Skywalker. Sounds like she used sex as a weapon, used cheating as an excuse to get a divorce. Interesting. We're going to talk about that. I'm sure Alex wants to talk about that. Wow. Very interesting. Shout out to Kenny, who jumps too. But a man has always provided shelter and protection only through nature. Men and women have always worked for the family simultaneously to the family. Y'all are making this very difficult for me to read. Shout out to Nadia. Ask Nona what happens when she gets burnt out from working. What is the plan? Then we'll go to Axis the next time.
Hold on. Keep running. Hold on. Wait. Questions. We reading them out.
Keep it running.
Keep it running.
Okay. Shout out to Kenny. Women shouldn't be raising sons. Men should be the ones raising a male. It's out of line for women to be raising male child, especially after 4 years. Guys, I'm going to keep reading super chats just for today, but they have to be 10 plus just because it slows the show down.
It does.
Shout out to Lady K's Kitchen, Holly Bless. I think sometimes we miss a vital point and look at every male counterpart as a man. A man has a vision. He knows his purpose and in a ready position for the right woman to execute it with. Shout out to Lady K with the gems. Shout out to Gloria Nicole Johnson. Can we please talk about the difficulty of being a successful woman dating and the challenges that come with it? Gloria, appreciate the super chat.
They always want to go into the dating.
I'm telling you, Gloria sounds fed up. And Ja Bunny made it to the Big 7. Keep going strong, fam. Shout out to Ja Bunny.
Shout out.
Her and Yali, man, doing it big with 7 months of membership. I love that.
So I want to but Alex literally has been sitting here listen to us talk this entire time. Let's ask us this last question before she get up out of here. I think did the brother, what did my brother say? She was weaponizing sex, right?
The sex thing. Yeah. Now, before we're not going to address the weaponizing sex, okay?
Alice was
because she probably ready to go off on that one. But what is the sexual experience like when your man is not fulfilling the role that you were looking forward to?
I think for me, the mental load of everything else that I'm handling just gets in the way of being able to really get into the mindset to have sex. I think that, at least for me, I want to feel supported. I want to feel loved. I want to feel safety. And having all these things on my brain that I have to take care of, that's bred resentment in me, is making it so I'm like, that's not even anything I'm interested in. I'll add to this situation, though, I was pregnant. So for a chunk of that time, I'm dealing with morning sickness and generally not feeling well. I was 30 weeks pregnant when I found out about the cheating. So there's some just additional things that made it where I wasn't interested in sex physically, but then you add the mental load of having to shoulder all these responsibilities or feeling like I am. So
I can imagine what you're thinking at that time, and especially, the cheating thing comes in. Somebody got the audacity to cheat, and they not even fulfilling their role.
Oh, you ain't getting money and you cheating?
I mean, damn.
Oh, hell no.
So I do get that. I do get that.
Like, brother. Really.
So now you are still Nona, right? Nona, you are still actively in your union, healthy relationship, okay? But you did have times where things weren't quite right.
Yeah.
So what is happening? Like, is it a gradual thing where the sexual chemistry is just decreasing day by day? Is it like one moment where you just decide, you know what, it ain't going down until things change? Like, what's the mentality behind that?
Yeah. So first of all, Alex, I'm so sorry that happened to you. Like, I can't even imagine being 30 weeks pregnant, and that would be devastating. So I'm so sorry that that happened. For me, again, my ESTJ personality, right? So I'm like a duty-minded person. Even when we were in like the depths of our resentment vortex toward each other, where it was like he was resenting me, I was resenting him. I was still making sure that I was kind of keeping a cadence of that level of physical connection, because I knew he needed it. So even and we've talked about this, I don't think he would mind me talking about it, but even during that time when I did not feel like I was necessarily getting the emotional investment that I needed because of his resentment, he wasn't being as emotionally caring and compassionate as I needed. I was still making sure that he got what he needed physically. So like I would just keep a cadence of, this may be TMI, but I'm saying I would keep a cadence of like just like every other day. So every other day I'm making sure he's good.
That's wow. I don't know how many women, well, matter of fact, maybe I'm tripping. How many women do you think do that? Even though they're not getting fulfilled emotionally, will still go ahead and still give the man what they're looking for physically?
I don't know. And I would say again, I think, listen, when you're at the height of that resentment is literally like hydrochloric acid. If you put anything in a tub of hydrochloric acid, it's going to disintegrate, right? Resentment is acid.
That's a good poll. Sorry,
I'm gonna drop
Sure.
that poll.
drop that poll real quick.
Would you still make love to your man
I know
if
what the
he was
answer is.
not?
Meeting your emotional needs. Hydrochloric acid.
Yeah.
Please keep that thought.
No, resentment is like hydrochloric acid. And so this is why I said at the outset that really my North Star, what guides me in everything I do, is my faith in God. And so even when we were navigating that season, I genuinely wanted to please God. And so what that meant is I humbled myself to say, all right, you know what? I am really angry right now. I don't want to do this, but I know that as my husband, this is something you need. And I also do not want to ever give you a reason to be like, well, you weren't doing this. And so I found somebody else, so I was like, no, you ain't gonna be able to say that, brother. You are never gonna be able to say that.
Got it.
So I kind of kept this sense of duty. Now what happened though, and this is our situation. I can't say this is everybody's. I think what happened is as we started to kind of lift ourselves out of the resentment and really see it for what it was, that's when my husband became more attentive to me and started to recognize, you know what, this resentment is silly because everything that you're experiencing, when you win, I win. When I win, you win. That's where the one team, one dream mentality came from, is when we started to lift out of that season and realize, wait a minute, when you lose, I lose. When I lose, you lose. But when you win, I win. When I win, you win.
Right.
Why are we fighting each other? Why are we angry at each other? When I win, you win. And that's where that came from.
I like, sex.
Yeah.
I like viewing it as duty. Like, no, really, in a marriage, this is the only person that's supposed to be having sex with me.
Yeah.
That is duty.
It's
not a luxury.
No.
It's duty.
Because I think what happens sometimes is, and listen, for women who are in very difficult situations, like I think of Alex because my heart goes out to her. When you're in a situation where you are literally depleted and you can't even trust that your husband is being faithful to you, frankly, sex is not even safe, to be honest. It's not safe for biological reasons. It's not safe.
Right.
However, in the situations where you're just angry with each other, it's like, okay, this is what's needed for my spouse. And so what my spouse needs is going to trump what I need. If both partners have that mentality, you are going to be able to navigate anything. I promise you.
Tell them about the poll that you just dropped right now.
So guys, I just dropped a poll. I want y'all to give me those answers. and Alex, if you think
ladies
a little bit
only,
different, if you think a little bit different, let me know, because that's big. I think I was surprised you said that. Ladies only, would you still make love to your man even if he did not provide emotional fulfillment? Wow. First off, I've already got over 120 votes on this thing.
I already know what the answer's going to be.
They're coming in, but I'm going to let it chill.
Yeah.
I'm going to let it sit for a second. Alex, bring Alex up. Alex, let us know, like, what do you think about that? Did you ever look at sex as a duty, or was it more so, this is a reward from, us having a healthy relationship?
Oh, hold on. Wait, you're muted. Let me unmute you. There you go. Start over.
Sorry. I definitely didn't view it as duty. I knew that it was important and I knew that it was lacking, and I was on my own trying to find ways to improve it. I was expressing things to my ex that I felt like would help me to get there. But for me, the emotional block was huge. So I recognize its importance, but I definitely didn't feel it was a duty because I felt like it takes both parties to be able to have that.
And that's why I say I empathize, because I totally understand that. Like I even know the results of the poll. I know what it's going to be. I understand and I empathize. My situation, I would say, is different than some women's, right? Like we had a level of resentment, but it wasn't to the place of like emotional abuse, which I think some women have had to navigate. And it's like, are you actually going to try to have sex with someone who is manipulating you and neglecting you and ostracizing you? And like, no, my situation was different.
Let's actually see what that guys, we're gonna go ahead and run this for 60 more seconds. So I want y'all to go ahead, Get your answers in. The poll is closing in 60 seconds.
Yes, and let's go ahead and let Alex go. And Alex, I want you to leave us with some final thoughts. And again, thank you so much for sharing your story, because man, it just really opened up the conversation. And I think I think we'll probably do a part 2 on this.
Yeah.
Because there's so many nuances that I'm sure we didn't cover. But Alex, if you could just leave us with some parting words, like what was the biggest thing that you would say you've learned so far from this experience? And when I say this experience, I mean from the dynamic that I'm sure you may have to, end up looking forward to in your next relationship of being the primary breadwinner and providing the family. What would you say that you've learned to be able to take into your next relationship?
I think probably the most valuable lesson I've learned, honestly, is that I need to vet the next person extremely well and focus a lot on alignment and whether or not we really have the same values before jumping into something very serious. I think that caused a lot of the dysfunction in my prior relationship. And so I think just being upfront with expectations and making sure you're on the same page would be what I try to put forth moving forward.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Alex, thank you so much. And listen,
Thank you.
look, you put it all in that email. This is a fresh situation. Like you're literally actively still going through the divorce process right now. And you came up on here and still was able to share with us in a way that I felt like it wasn't, what's the word I'm looking for? You didn't have that level of hate or that residue all on your heart, which I appreciate. And I think it was a lot to learn from your perspective, which is why we brought you up. So thank you so much for coming up on here and sharing with us. Much love to you. And if you if any resources that we can apply to help, any relationships we can give over to you during the process, just let us know. Info at Harley Initiated. That's how you got to us the first time, and that's how you can get to us again, okay?
Okay, thank you guys.
Bye.
Appreciate you, man. Shout out to you and Alex, man, for turning an email into a testimony, on-air testimony.
Great.
That was terrific.
Yeah, and I encourage anybody else that wants to go about letting us know what's going on. We're going to try to figure out easier ways for you guys to give us over your testimonies. But right now, email us at info@harleyinitiated.com. It's a ton, guys. We putting systems in place. Now, y'all seen we stopped doing shows on Sunday, right? It's because we trying to figure out how to get to all y'all emails and still be able to take care of the community we got now at the highest level. But I encourage you guys to send us over your situations because you might be surprised who might call you one day.
I'm gonna tell you, man. So Alex, man, when I hear a woman share this kind of story, and really aspiring to have a healthy, strong relationship with a good man, it's like I really just want to start like a boot camp, like Negro boot camp. Like just get a bunch of dudes, just go relentless. Like y'all better take care of these women.
Come on, Ryan.
Really quit putting them out.
Let's
you know what I mean?
it.
But because I think it's beautiful. I think it's beautiful when a woman desires a man to treat her in a certain way and to make room to have a vision and a plan that is solidified and solid and strong enough to be able to provide all the things that they need, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, so I think it's because, and this is why I say this, because on our channel, I really get plugged in with the ladies and I'm like, okay, it's some good women out there.
Oh yeah.
But that is, we doing this relatively 10%, actually filming 10% of all the hours in a week. Cause I'm typically, women is no good if you looking through the Instagram feed and you never got to follow nobody to see that. That's kind of what's being put out there. Yeah. So I do get, even from the stories that don't have necessarily happy endings just yet, I still get this perspective and this understanding that, good women and love and good men, it exists and it can be possible if we, make some of the right decisions.
Absolutely.
Let's close out that poll, by the way.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna close out this poll. Let me go back to it. This was ladies only. Okay, ladies, would you still make love to your man if he is not providing you emotional support? Wow. Okay, I'm surprised by this. 55% of the ladies, over 230 votes, by the way, say no. Interesting.
Wow.
And you know what?
That's actually a high number for yes.
I would agree with that. I'm actually very shocked. I'm very shocked that the ladies everywhere are not closing down shop like COVID.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised because I think a lot of women, at least a lot of women that I talk to, even taking aside the personality type, I think they just have a sense of commitment and a sense of like that's where the nurturing comes in, right? It's like you may not be meeting my needs, but I'm going to do everything I can to meet your needs. I'm not surprised that 45% of the women were like, you know what, you're not doing what I need you to do, but I'm still going to try to take care of you.
Well, I mean, that's what they're saying. So it must be the case.
And listen, what I want to do before we go ahead and close this thing out,
I do got a couple more super chats.
Yeah, no, we're gonna read the super chats. So y'all go ahead, get your super chats in. We're gonna read those in the next few minutes. So go ahead and get those in. We're gonna read those live on air. And also, we have a special giveaway here that's gonna be coming out to one of our initiates from Nona Jones herself. Yes. So y'all be patient. But we've actually had somebody that's like been patiently waiting back.
Really?
Here.
Okay. Well, let's let her up in a second. If you're listening, we're gonna let you up in a second. And the giveaways, guys, we deliver on these giveaways, okay?
We do.
And for those of y'all who've already received the gifts that we've sent out, please send us a photo because we just want to make sure that we continue to look credible and actually delivering to the community.
Y'all know we ain't scamming.
Exactly. We actually delivering what we say. And like Tyshawn said, we got some big things coming. But shout out to Mia Minion. Mia, one of my favorites. She says, I'm the breadwinner because I have to be, not because I want to be. I was a single parent and I wasn't going to wait for my son's father to get his shit together. I would love to stand down, but men won't step up. I think a lot of ladies are having that issue. Shout out to Mia. Shout out to Blaze Skywalker. Did you feel like he wasn't going to cheat after not giving him none for 9 months? Was he asking for it? That's a great question. That's a great question because if you're not having sex, I mean, outside of a medical situation, you're not having sex with a man for 6 months to a year. Is there not an expectation of cheating?
Absolutely not.
So what you think is happening? So what you think is happening?
The woman is pregnant. Let's first be clear.
No. I'm not talking about Alex's specific situation.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about just in general.
His comment was about that.
Yes, but I'm asking you in general.
Okay.
You ain't having sex for 6 months a year. What do you think is happening?
Oh, I don't know. That's not my story.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying the psyche of anybody in a sexless relationship.
Oh yeah,
like I mean.
So you know what's interesting, and I don't have the research on this, but I do know that there are so many sexless marriages.
Yes,
like so many. It is astounding how many sexless marriages they are, and I think a sexless marriage is considered a marriage where there's like maybe sex like 2 or 3 times a year or something like that. Maybe. Ryan literally just fell out in the spirit.
Insane.
I do think that unless there's like a medical biological reason, I think that once that leaves the marriage, I definitely think that there becomes a hole in the marriage for sure, because that physical intimacy is so important to that spiritual intimacy, that emotional intimacy. It is all very much so related. So I would hope that there wouldn't be cheating. But I don't know.
Ooh, gonna be trouble.
Oh no, absolutely. I mean, and when you think about it, we've done a lot of shows on sexless marriages.
Hella sexless marriages.
The reality of it is not only you're not having sex, but the reason you're not having, it's a bunch of reasons that you're not having sex.
Reasons.
So those reasons are causing problems that are festering. And now the not having sex is an issue that is festering. Yeah. So at that point, the likelihood that somebody else now is going to be entering this relationship to bring somebody some level of reprieve is high.
Yeah.
Oh, tremendously. Shout out to Lady K's Kitchen again. You need to have an anchor in order to have a stable marriage, and that's the anchor is Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Who is the solid rock you stand upon. Shout out to Jesus. And shout out to Leia as well. This is very interesting. I gotta make sure I clear Jesus' name out my name first before I read this comment. Shout out to Leia.
Duty booty.
Duty booty.
I like that one.
Leia, you win. You win.
Hey, listen, ladies, y'all better keep giving that duty booty up.
Duty booty.
Giving duty booty while navigating emotional abuse is draining for women. We feel unloved, undervalued, and it affects our overall self-esteem.
Sure.
Men need to account for the emotional damage they cause.
Amen.
Absolutely. And shout out to Michaela for gifting the membership, and shout out to Mandy for getting down with us. This is dope, man. We're getting real diverse up in here. Let's
Shout out
check
to
it.
Mandy.
Shout out to
Come on.
Michaela and Mandy. Getting diverse
Yay.
up in this thing.
So I want to go ahead and bring Nora up. Nora Jean has been back here. We don't have this is actually the last person I'm bringing up because I got to get Nona Jones to bed, y'all. But I want to go about seeing what Nora got to say. So let's bring Nora to the stage.
Hi.
Nora, what's up with your sister?
Hello. How y'all doing?
We doing good.
Listen,
Nora
listen.
looking like she got the tea.
You got to first of all, listen. Nora, you got to connect to that good internet, okay? Because you already kind of going in and out. You connected to some Wi-Fi there, or you got an antenna at the house?
It keep changing.
Is it going in and out?
It's going in and out.
Look, as long as I can hear your voice,
Yeah,
let me hear you speak. Let's start like this. If you can, Nora, go ahead and give us your age and your location.
I'm 43, Virginia Beach, Virginia.
Okay, 43, Virginia Beach. You got a question or you got a comment for us today?
A question on that.
Okay, now I'm gonna be honest. Your internet is not good, so I'm gonna need you to be as brief and as brilliant as possible, so we can make sure we get this from you. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you feel that your husband coming to terms with you making more was what salvaged your relationship?
Great
That's
question.
a good question. I think that was definitely part of it. I think him getting to the place where he recognized that the resources that God decided to send through me were for our family. And I think it also was a function of me having the idea that we're in this together. And so going back to this idea of resources, you can approach resources as if it is a lever. Like it's a lever that I use to control a person. I'm the one who makes the money, so I make the decisions. I tell you what we're going to do. That would breed resentment. I was not that way, right? Like I was not like, I make all the money, so this is what we're going to do. That was not the case. I think when he came to terms with it and also realized that we could build something together through what God was doing in our life, I think that's what helped for sure. Yeah.
Got you.
Nova, thank you so much for coming up here and asking that question. Okay, sister?
Nora, listen, we got to get you back on set. We just got to get that internet right. And Nora, I like the set too. She hit us with the couch to relax.
Oh no,
I
she
like
was
that.
sitting back like
She had on the leggings.
Yeah,
You hear me?
I
She
like
came
that a
ready.
lot. I thought she was about to go in for a
Come
second.
on.
I
I'm
did
like, Ty,
too.
what you done said on
I
that,
did
man?
too.
Ty, what you done did?
No, that's a fact. Let me tell y'all. So I told y'all we went ahead and we got something special for you. We're gonna get to the giveaway right after we read these last few super chats.
Yeah, the super
For the
chats.
people.
I think I read most of them. Shout out to Faith Williams and shout out to Marsha T as well. Y'all, let me tell you, I am so impressed with these profile pics.
I was literally thinking that. I was like, man, y'all's profile pictures are like
Listen. I'm
telling
flaming
you.
fire. Come
Get
on.
your profile pics right. Initiates. Not only are we
I
gonna make
love
sure
it.
we gonna pull up our new members on here, but
Looking like
initiates,
glamour shots.
keep joining the membership, y'all. Y'all understand the initiates. We taking care of y'all. Y'all are the people that determine which guests we bring up onto the channel. Y'all, we creating resources just for you guys. A lot of work be happening for our members. So big shout out to all the new initiates that joined tonight and all the OGs
Yeah.
that's loyal to the platform.
I'm actually surprised no men called in to talk to Nona. 'Cause I know the
Oh,
men had to be
matter
in
of
the
fact, I'm
room.
gonna drop the link again.
No,
real quick, you know what I mean? If a brother, hey, look, if a brother comes backstage before the show's done, I'm gonna bring a brother up. All right.
Only a brother though.
Only a
right,
brother though.
All right.
But let's actually talk about the giveaway because we're gonna do something special for the family here tonight. So let's go ahead and big shout out to Nona.
It's a beautiful
Educating us
cover you
tonight.
got on this
It's a
book too.
beautiful-
So I have a copy of my book, Killing Comparison. And Killing Comparison, I wrote it because, back in 2020 when the pandemic was kicking up, I had a situation arise where, I had a full calendar of speaking engagements that year. I was releasing 2 books that year, and it was going to be an awesome year for me. But of course, everything went virtual. Speaking engagements got canceled. And I went on Instagram one day and I saw a post from a friend of mine who was talking about how she was so excited that she was speaking at this women's conference that went virtual. And I kept scrolling down and I saw that there were all these friends of mine speaking at this women's conference, but I had not been invited to speak at the conference. I knew all the speakers, I knew the host, and y'all, I started to click on people's profile pictures. I was like, why were they invited? Why wasn't I invited? How many followers do they have? I was going to their website to see, where else they were speaking at instead of me. I was doing all of this comparison calculus. Why her, not me? Why this? Why not that? And I heard the Holy Spirit say, no, why does it matter? And in that moment, I was forced to confront the fact that I was insecure. I became insecure and I was comparing myself to other people. So I wrote this book to help anyone who is struggling with feeling like you're not enough because it seems like somebody else is more. And it's going to help you. It's going to help you get free from toxic comparison.
So I don't know if I can I like get into the tea a little bit?
Sure, let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you got a little testimony.
Go ahead. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Comparison.
Yeah.
Because it's relevant to the book and the giveaway, y'all.
Let's do it.
First of all, the family is super excited about this book.
Yay.
And they want to read this book. So y'all better go ahead and get it. The book is available where now?
Everywhere. It's everywhere books are sold. You can go to nonajones.com, click on books, and everywhere books are sold.
Yeah. So make sure y'all get this book.
Yeah.
But it was at one point, it was affecting you so much. You felt like you had to go ahead and change your body.
Listen to me.
What you went ahead and did?
So here's the thing. My mom has these like voluptuous breasts, but she has a flat booty. My dad, of course, had a flat chest, but he had a nice booty. I got my dad's chest and my mom's booty, right? So I basically did not have a shape as a Black woman. I did not have any like curves. And so, seeing all the images of Black women with like the voluptuous booties and the curves and all that stuff, even though I work out twice a day, do all the Bulgarian split squats on earth and all the things, I could not make me a booty in the gym. And so I found out who the Kardashians surgeon is.
Wow.
And I decided I was going to get me a booty. I decided I was going to go ahead and pay the money to get me a booty. I could have bought a new car with how much it cost, but I decided to get me a booty.
Wow.
And I remember as I was flying to California to have this procedure, I heard the Lord say, if I wanted you to have a booty, I would have given you a booty. I did not give you a booty to keep you humble. And I was like, well, Lord, I'm going to be humble with a booty. So I got the procedure. The doctor told me, he was like, look, you cannot work out as vigorously as you work out because it's a fat transfer procedure. So it'll basically dissolve all the fat. Within about 3 months after getting the surgery, my booty was gone.
Wow.
I burned off all the fat. And
you was grinding that hard?
Oh yeah. No, seriously. Like next month I'm running my 16th half marathon. Like I run.
Oh, you are motivated.
Oh yeah. No,
I lift
weights.
half is what, 13 miles?
13.1.
Insane.
Yeah. So burned off the booty, y'all. Burned it off. But the reason that we talk about that is because the reason I even felt compelled to get the procedure is because of comparison. Because I did not feel that I was enough because I was looking at these other women who had these voluptuous booties. Despite all the stuff I had, like, what I'm saying? We talked tonight about all the success and all the stuff. That one thing I wanted. And the Lord was like, nope, spent all that money, burned it off.
Wow.
So
first of all, I don't know the situation with my initiates. My initiates, if anybody got the BBL right now, just go ahead and drop the BBL in the chat. Just put BBL.
No, drop a peach, right?
Drop the peach emoji. Drop your peach emoji. I just want to know if this is something that a lot of ladies are really considering.
And is it the comparison peach? Is that why you got it? Because you seen another peach that was doing this thing.
And see. And I'm happy you brought that up because you brought up, that's how strong social media is, because you have brought up now how not only has that affected the way you saw yourself personally, it affected your marriage. Yeah. Social media is having it's taking a toll on us, y'all. And it's still at its infancy.
Yeah.
We haven't even seen the long-term effects of social media.
Although I will say, and I talk about this extensively in the book, social media is actually a neutral conduit when it comes to insecurity. And I'll say this, two people can see the same post. One person can walk away from it inspired. Another person can walk away from it upset.
True.
And so I think the way that social media affects us really is a question of like what's in our heart, which is why I deal with that a lot in the book, which is, okay, what are the beliefs that you have in your heart that cause you to see somebody else's success as your failure?
You know, it reminds me of like those old school therapy sessions they'll try to portray on TV. Where like the therapist shows a man a picture of a painting of a mountain. He says, "What do you see?"
What do you see?
The
in
sad
this?
dude's like, "Death."
Right.
Death.
Right.
You know, but again,
Exactly
that's it.
right.
That's what you see.
Yeah.
And big shout out to Equally Yoked. She dropped about 5 peaches.
Big
So
facts.
I'm assuming you must be extra equally yoked.
And shout out to Sunshine and Beauty for dropping that super chat too. But I'm glad I'm glad you came and shared your testimony, Alice, as well. I think it was dope. It was dope getting perspective and kind of seeing what's going on. I do think it's important that I want to say this the right way.
Sure.
I think it's important that women understand that even if men have particular preferences, it's what that person wants to do. It's nothing that's against you,
Sure.
how you grew up, what you got going on, what your ambition is. This is just because this man has a preference.
Yeah.
And also think the same for men. If some women just have certain preferences, it's
Yeah.
okay. It does not mean anything negative about you. And this specific thing, I think is important as well, because I think this is my opinion, and we've ran some polls on this.
Yeah.
I think most women desire a traditional situation.
Mm.
Now, true or not, I'm just thinking most women desire a traditional situation. Now, because this day and age, a traditional situation is unlikely,
Yeah.
or if it comes from what we hear, a lot of times it can come with the guy being manipulative and controlling because he is providing in that traditional role. Okay.
Mhm.
But I don't think that gives people the right to villainize a man who is comfortable with stating that his preference is not to date a woman with that makes more money than him.
Mhm.
I think this is just a man that has a preference and he has a
Sure.
plan and has an identified role. Because I think what has happened is that a man who's expressing his traditional values and goals and aspirations is in some ways villainized and accused of being less man than the man who is more willing to concede in that way and to be with a woman who makes more money and kind of this different role.
Here's what's tricky, because we villainize the brother that says, I want to pay all the bills. But we also villainize the 50-50 brother.
It's confusing.
It's a lot of confusion. And I get the concerns with each because we've saw, the worst cases of either. But, the reality of it is that it's going to be problems regardless which direction you go.
Big facts.
It's going to be problems. And I'm not even, and I'm going to be honest. There's a woman who had all her bills paid and she would take, and they would take Nona Jones' hand 10 times over because of the shit that they had to go through in that relationship. So
Yeah.
That's the purpose. So you guys know why we bring these different voices to the platform, so we can get perspective, because there's really no guarantee where you're going to end up.
Absolutely.
You can't you can't predict the fact that y'all both got married in y'all, late 20s, early 30s, where y'all was early in y'all careers, and 10 years later, y'all in completely different places.
Yeah.
You can't call those kind of things.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that it's time for divorce.
Well, that's why, going back to your point, Ryan, like, I have no problem. Look, if a man knows that he prefers to pay the bills, to be the breadwinner, I think that's great, as long as there's two variables present. One, he has to be okay with the fact that it is possible that at some point in their relationship, she could make more. We don't know what the future will hold. And so if you walk into the relationship saying, I have to be the breadwinner, and she ends up making more money, what are you going to do? Because if it's a question that gets back to the book Killing Comparison, if your identity is associated with being the one that makes the most money, you're going to have a problem. Like, either you're going to get divorced just because she's making more money, or you are going to feel like your manhood has been stripped away. But the second variable that has to be present is there has to be humility. Because where I think it won't work is if it's like, I have to make the most money because I need to be in control. And then in that case, you're not going to build a healthy marriage because now there's a power dynamic involved and it's just not going to be healthy. So if it's a situation where it's like, look, I want to be the breadwinner, and if she makes more money, then it is what it is, but I want to take care of everything. Wonderful. And I want to be the breadwinner because I'm here to serve. I'm here to support my family. Great. But if I want to make the most money because I want to control the situation, it's not going to be healthy. And
That's
I've seen
fair.
it. I've seen it.
That's
That
fair.
is fair. Nona, thank you so much.
Oh, I got one more giveaway.
Again.
I got
we
one more
something
giveaway.
else for the
Yes,
people?
before we go,
Wait,
one more
what we
giveaway.
got?
And you gotta
This
let
is
them know how to get that giveaway.
It's
Tyshawn.
Christmas, absolutely.
I'm
What we
pulling
got?
this out of the hat. So this September, I am hosting a retreat. It's my first time doing this. It's called Success from the Inside Out. I'm hosting it for current and aspiring women leaders, whether they're in business, entrepreneurship, etc. I'm bringing together like an incredible roster of speakers from the standpoint of mental health, women who like sit on the boards of global corporate organizations, some of the best speakers in the faith space, etc. And we have a very special code for the initiates. It's women only, but you can get
Hold on, wait. You don't say the code.
Okay.
Because we're going to give the code to the initiates only.
Okay.
I got something special for the initiates that I'm going to do here.
Okay.
And I know how I'm going to rock this out for my initiates here.
Cool.
But I'm curious to know here. Please tell me more.
Yeah.
Tell us about this joint.
Okay, so the retreat is happening September 8th through the 10th, the 11th, September 8th through the 11th at the Vinoy Golf Club and Resort in St. Petersburg, Florida.
Dope.
It's right there on the waterfront. This is going to be the most transformative, restorative experience that these women have ever had. Because what we're doing is not only do we have amazing speakers, the atmosphere, the ambiance just speaks peace. We're building an ample time for relaxation. We're going to have prayer rooms, meditation rooms, treats, giveaways, but it's going to be amazing. Speakers like, if you've read the book, The Garden Within, I have to give a shout out to my girl, Dr. Anita Phillips. She's going to be there. Michelle Williams is going to be there, who is just amazing. Bishop Vashti McKenzie. She was the first African-American woman consecrated as a bishop in the AME Church. A woman named Lori Ann Lowry. She is like a global executive. She was like president of the Lloyds of London of the Americas. Rosalind Houston, global chief human resources officer for multiple banks, top 25.
We need to get them all on there. I know they're the breadwinners.
But you'll get $100 off registration. And the thing to know, registration includes your lodging. It includes meals. This is unlike a regular conference where you pay like $100 and like you just go and sit and listen to somebody. No, when you pay, and you can pay in installments, you get lodging, meals, everything is included. You literally just show up.
Oh, this is deep. Awesome. So they're gonna get $100 off.
$100 off. There's a special code. You want me to give it to you or?
So here's what I want to do. Here's what I want to do.
Drop the link.
Because what I'm gonna go about doing is we're gonna select, listen, my initiates, this is for you guys. So email us, okay, at info@hardlyinitiated.com. Okay. And what I want to do is me and Ryan are going to randomly select who are going to be the winners, and we will send you the code and the information because the code is right there on that paper, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And they need to take that code and put it into a form.
Yep. Just go to the website. No, I think it's nonajones.com/retreat. And you can register there on the website, put in the code, and it'll take $100 off.
Man, let me tell you. And so, guys, this is still amazing. Whether you getting this code or not, whether you about to get this code or not, whether you initiate, this is something that y'all really need to make. These are environments y'all really need to take serious and invest to be in, because first of all, that sounds incredible.
It's gonna be amazing.
Is it virtual or in person?
Oh no, it's in person. It is literally in St. Petersburg, Florida. What I will say though, if people want to connect with me virtually, it's super simple. Just text my name, Nona, to 33777. And you can get my email address, get my email newsletter, all this stuff to stay connected with me virtually. That's Nona 33777. The retreat is in person, St. Petersburg, Florida. I promise you this is going to be the time of your life.
Text Nona to 333777.
It's just 33777. So 2 3s, 3 7s.
Got it. Just wanted to drop that in the chat real quick. Shout out to Kat Harlem. Just drop that in the chat. Text Nona 33777. Yeah. Shout out to Kat Harlem. Great show and guest. Thanks, Nona. We need Cindy Trim on this show as well. Cindy Trim.
We got in the pipeline.
Yeah. Shout out to Kat for 6 months, 7 months. It's incredible. Shout out to Ijiyoma for joining the membership, and shout out to Lady K. Lady K has been going nuts. on the super chat today, which is excellent. She says, "My dearest sister in Christ, don't you know that you are fearfully and wonderfully made by
Amen.
our Creator? Don't forget, we are in the world, but we are not
Lady
of
K
the
is
world."
preaching. Y'all hear me?
Shout out to Lady K.
Yes.
We're going crazy tonight.
Yes.
I love
Hey,
it.
David said this. It's not a super chat, but I'm gonna read this because I feel my brothers in here. Hey, Ryan, the guys also need their retreat.
Let me
Hey,
highlight that.
He trying to get.
highlight that.
Hey, let me tell you, he really trying to. What you call it? He trying to get that Negro
Lord.
League in.
Hey,
He
we
want
gonna-
that training.
Exactly. And we're gonna be in there getting strong.
Yes, sir. I am the breadwinner, sir. I am the breadwinner, sir.
Right. And everywhere we go, we cutting checks. Everywhere we go.
Come on.
Me and him.
on.
Me and Dave. Me and
first of
Dave
all,
going down.
No, it's kind of, you got to be kind of brave to come up on here hardly initiated. So I appreciate you
Oh,
Yeah.
this is my
coming up
pleasure,
on here and having a
y'all.
conversation here
I'm proud
with
of
us.
y'all.
It-
I'm proud of you.
Listen, we proud of you too. And shout out to Jasmine Green. I meant to hold her chat, but she was like, "Y'all need to apologize to Nona." And I'm like, "For what?
What we doing?
Nona, let
What
me
we
did we treat you right?"
Yeah.
Oh, now we asked you some
Oh.
tough questions though.
I mean, I
they
didn't
was-
think they were tough.
Oh, they
Like,
was-
I feel-
oh.
Well, but
hold
no. Let me
on,
say this.
hold on.
All right.
No,
Nah,
well, you
we
have
gonna
to-
get
let me
it.
go back.
Let me- no,
Let me
no.
go back.
Right.
Y'all have to understand, I worked at a company for 6 years where every week we had a scandal. Every week we were on CNN or Fox News or something. So I like these questions, we were just having a conversation. I have been in some very tough conversations.
Got
So
it.
to me, these were just balanced questions. So I'm good.
I like that.
I'm good. I'm
That
good.
was the intent.
Damn,
Yeah.
balanced. right. We're going to get dirty next time. Hey, well, listen, y'all, for those of you who don't know, again, for all of my initiates, for a chance to be able to win the book, as well as for all my initiates that want to go about getting access here
Yes.
to our code. And did you see them? Did you see them get angry at me?
For what?
They got
For-
angry at me. About
Oh,
the code.
about the
All
holding
right,
code.
so here's what I'm gonna do, y'all.
We actually got a couple things coming for the
All right, so
initiative.
here's what I'm
well,
gonna do.
here's the
Here's
thing.
what I'm gonna do. Here's what I'm gonna do.
It can go to
Right.
everybody.
I'm gonna let the code go to everybody.
It's
Since
not
y'all so
limited.
mad.
It's not limited.
My book. I'm gonna give the book. I'm gonna give the book to one of my initiates that emails info@hardlyinitiated.com. And I'm gonna let Nona see for the people that left, they missed it. 'Cause now she's about to drop the code. Nona, reveal the code to have $100 off for this amazing event.
Yes. So go to nonajones.com/retreat. And when you sign up, enter the code H as in hardly, I as initiated, 100. So HI 100. That is the discount code, and you'll get $100.
You playing that one out.
You know, we try.
Hey, she a businesswoman.
Oh my God, they going
All right.
in on me in the chat too for cussing.
Oh,
I'm like, man, I probably said two cuss
God,
words.
don't worry, y'all, because Ryan is gonna go somewhere nice and hot. All right, so don't worry. It's all good.
You
It's
just
all
tried
good.
my life. You just tried me. Nona, we're gonna have to get. Hey, we're gonna pray for this man.
Hey, but listen, y'all better go ahead and subscribe to this joint, and y'all better make sure y'all in here on Wednesday at 8 p.m. because guess what we did? Y'all have been asking us to do this, and we have done it. Do we ever let you down? On Wednesday at 8 p.m., we're gonna be up in this thing rocking with the one and the only Love McPherson is going to be on the set.
My girl.
Love McPherson is going to be here live, so you got to be here at 8 p.m. this Wednesday, and subscribe to the channel if you made it this deep and this far in the show.
And them dating cards too. We got it. We got the last 50. We're gonna move those.
We gotta tell 'em.
tonight. So I'm gonna drop the
Guys.
link in the chat.
Go ahead and get your Hardly in Love dating deck right now. It's gonna be in the description, and we love you guys. You already know Hardly Initiated. We are out.
Hey.